have my diploma.
At age 30, Carissa finished her high school diploma.
If you're even considering getting your high school diploma, you can do it.
No one gets a diploma alone. If you're thinking of finishing your high school diploma, you have help. Find free adult education classes near you at finishyourdiploma.org. That's finishyourdiploma.org. Brought to you by the Dollar General Literacy Foundation and the Ad Council.
From the 1-800-HURT-NOW Traffic Center. Hurt in a car? Call KNR.
Brought to you by Home Genius Exteriors, the genius choice in roofing, siding, and exterior solutions you can trust.
Call Home Genius Exteriors now during our summer savings event and get 50% off materials for your new roof. Plus 0% APR and no payments till 2027. Call Home Genius Exteriors at 855-UR-GENIUS. See website for details.
It's early on a Tuesday morning, but the upside is, for the moment, no big-time issues on your way towards downtown Cleveland today. Jeff Thomas, Odyssey Cleveland Traffic.
Broadcasting from the 92.3 The Fan Studios, fueled by True North Convenience Stores. The Browns preseason kicks off Saturday against the Bears.
Touchdown!
Kickoff Saturday at 1. We're your home for complete Browns coverage all year long. WKRK-FM and HD1 Cleveland Heights. This is the radio home of the Cleveland Browns.
Oh, what a catch!
We are Sports Radio 92.3 The Fan. An Odyssey Sports Station.
92.3 The Fan, 2020 Sports.
This 2020 Sports brought to you by Ohio Basement Authority, a groundworks company. There were some issues from some folks over Saturday's practice when Junior Sanders was supposed to take the first team reps with the Browns offense, but Deshaun Watson got him instead. Before practice on Monday, head coach Tom Monken tried to explain what exactly happened.
Shador on Saturday took the ones in the walk, so I anticipated him being with the ones. When I walked out, guys grabbed me and said, hey, the last couple of days we've been kind of looking at it. Shador's got a few more reps with the ones. That's all it was. I wasn't even at the moment. I was like, yeah, sure, we'll flip it, and then next week we'll go the other way. I sure as hell wasn't thinking about coming back in here and telling all you guys that I was going to change my mind, because I really don't have to. And so that's just the way, being the head coach, I can kind of do that.
Sanders worked out with the starters on Monday. Monken yet to say he's going to start the preseason opener in Chicago on Saturday. We don't know who's going to start at quarterback. We do have an idea, though, how much action that quarterback and the rest of the starters will see against the Bears. Coach Monken hoping to have the starters on the field for at least the first series of the game, but that's subject to change. That's going to include Spencer Fano, who is going to be lining up exclusively at left tackle with the first-team offense. Guardians continue the road trip time. Going to begin a 3-game series in Detroit against the Tigers. Guardians lost the last 2 games of their series against the White Sox in Chicago and trailed the Sox by 4 games in the AL Central. Guardians off a half game and back in Detroit for second place. Tanner Bybee on the hill tonight. He is 4-11, a 3.85 ERA. Last night in baseball, Minnesota beat Baltimore 9-5. Austin Martin at Fords, including a solo home run. Former Guardian Josh Bell to its, including a 3-run blast. The win puts Minnesota into a tie with Detroit for second place in the AL Central. 3.5 games out. That leaves the Guardians all alone in 4th place. Don't miss the premiere of the Todd Monken Show tonight at 7 o'clock. Right here on 92.3 The Fan. From the University Hospital Sports Desk, I'm Jeff Thomas. Up next time for the Ken Carman Show with Anthony Lima here on 92.3 The Fan.
The urgent weather message. The National Weather Service in Cleveland has issued a severe thunderstorm warning for Huron County, Seneca County in northwestern Ohio, Erie County, southeastern Wood County in northwestern Ohio, northeastern Hancock County in northwestern Ohio, until 7 a.m. Eastern Daylight Time. At 5:58 a.m. Eastern Daylight Time, severe thunderstorms were located along a line extending from near Klein to 7 miles northwest of Fostoria, moving southeast at 45 miles per hour. Hazard, 60 miles per hour wind gusts and penny-size hail. Source, radar indicated. Impact, expect damage to trees and power lines. Locations impacted include Tiffin, Norwalk, Fostoria, Bellevue, Willard, North Baltimore, New London, Plymouth, Mile End, Northern Mile End, Bloomville, Castalia, Arcadia, New Regal, Greenwich, Monroeville, Attica, Bloomdale, Bettsville, and Signet. For your protection, move to an interior room on the lowest floor of a building. Large hail, damaging wind, and continuous cloud-to-ground lightning are occurring with these storms. Move indoors immediately. Lightning is one of nature's leading killers. Remember, if you can hear thunder, you are close enough to be struck by lightning. Torrential rainfall is occurring with these storms and may lead to flash flooding. Do not drive your vehicle through flooded roadways. Repeating, a severe thunderstorm warning has been issued until 7 a.m. Eastern Daylight Time for the following counties in Ohio: Erie, Hancock, Huron, Seneca, and Wood.
The Ken Carman Show with Anthony Lima.
Shador on Saturday took the ones in the walk, so I anticipate him being with the ones. When I walked out, guys grabbed me and said, hey, the last couple of days we've been kind of looking at it. Shador's got a few more reps with the ones. That's all it was. I wasn't even at the moment. I was like, yeah, sure, we'll flip it, and then next week we'll go the other way. I sure as hell wasn't thinking about coming back in here and telling all you guys that I was going to change my mind, because I really don't have to. And so that's just the way, being the head coach, I can kind of do that. Ultimately, Shador's going to go today with the ones, unless on the way out I change my mind, and then he won't. Okay, just like any other player in terms of how we rotate them. And the bottom line is the speculation, which I find kind of funny, is as long as we're still sharing reps, it's a competition. It would not make any sense. Thus what we're doing, Spencer. Thus we're up in Denzel's reps. I promise you, I'll tell you. When I know what we're going to be doing, you'll know. So at the end of the day, today, as far as I know, Shador's going with the ones, and then Deshaun the next day, and then Shador will get Wednesday with the pads on.
This is Cleveland Sports Radio, 92.3 The Fan.
The honeymoon's over. Doesn't mean it's a bad thing. It's just time to roll up our sleeves and get to work. We are back from our trip from Hawaii. The honeymoon is officially over. How you doing?
Kenny, what an interesting afternoon it was yesterday. We're out there on a golf course, people asking us what's going on. We didn't really know. We were trying to figure things out from afar.
They said, what are we going to do? I said, well, we're going to start one guy, and he's going to play for a while, and then another guy's going to play for a while, and then probably another guy's going to play for a while, and then we'll see you in April. Am I wrong?
It's typically how it works.
Hope right? I am, but I don't think I will be. That's typically how it works, and that's probably how it's going to go here. Zach Jackson joins us at 8:20, and around we go. What did you think of Todd Monken's comments yesterday there, bud?
I don't think they really served to clarify much, but I kind of appreciate it. I will say, I kind of appreciated that it was understood after all was said and done. Like, he doesn't owe anybody anything. Like, he doesn't need... Yeah. He doesn't need as the head coach. He kind of even said it. He's like, yeah, that's one privilege you get as the head coach.
He doesn't have to tell us the truth all the time.
You don't ever. In fact, I mean, most coaches do lie all the time. It's very rare when you get the honest ones. Like, I'll never forget when Urban Meyer took over at Ohio State, and I just could not believe what I was hearing after all the years of Jim Tressel, who I idolized. I could not believe that Urban Meyer just came in and was like, yeah, this conference is too slow. As I had been trying to defend the Big Ten for years and trying to tell the people in the SEC, like, no. And then he's like, yeah, we need to get a lot faster.
That's the beauty of not being an Ohio State fan by that time, because I could have told you the conference was too slow. You just didn't want to listen.
Right, because when you're involved in the message board, squabbles, and the stuff that was so obvious to everybody.
Well, yeah. I mean, you had a national championship game where they burned your ass up and down the field for crying out loud. And, I mean, for the love of God, I think that should have told you, but all right.
Well, our fastest guy got crippled on the very first play after he scored a touchdown against that very fast team.
It didn't help. But I don't think it would have made that much of a difference.
Looking back,
it didn't help.
But I went right back to the message board arguments of the day. So when Urban Meyer came in and he said, wow, the coaching in this conference needs to get a lot better too. Like, holy cow, this guy is coming in, doesn't really care. Well, that's the thing with Todd Monken here. Todd Monken came in as he was going to be the truth teller. And then people start saying, wait a second, you're lying. We all saw the reps. We all saw and heard what you said before practice. And then he comes back yesterday and he's like, yeah, I'm the head coach. I kind of get to do what I want. Okay, you know what? I appreciate it. I appreciate you being honest today about you not being honest yesterday.
It's not the federal government, man. It's football, and you can say whatever you want, man. It doesn't matter. It really, truly does. I remember a man I used to work with, and he sat down with a former Browns head coach who, the answers he would give, everybody made fun of the answers. And because it was just like, man, you're trying to find an answer for everything and you don't. And he looked him dead in the eye and he's like, You don't have to answer these questions. You could just say, I'm not answering that and move on. Or you could say, we haven't figured that out yet. We will, and I'll let you know. Like, you don't have to answer the questions. You just don't have to do it. And it was great. And Todd Munkin's like, I don't have to answer. You don't have to answer
Now,
this.
we posed a question yesterday. What did the players know? When did they know it? What did Shedeur know? We heard the report that Deshaun was told, and yesterday we did get some clarity about that as well. But, you know, in the end, like, I know that we are living and dying, and the fans are certainly living and dying, the ones that are truly invested, not the ones who are like, both these guys stink. It doesn't really matter. We're worried about the draft. The people who really do worry about every rep, and they're like, oh, were the pads on? And they're scribbling in their notes the actual numbers, like they're ranking where the guys are, and they're throwing Dylan Gabriel in there. For those people, they feel like they have been lied to. And again, Todd Monken doesn't owe those people anything. I get it's frustrating, but we are going to get some preseason games, and then we're going to get a joint practice. A joint practice will not be televised. That would be nice, because I think they're probably going to unearth more from that joint practice than they will when it comes to the starters than they're going to get anywhere else. I mean, I think that joint practice is going to be huge.
It will, but you know, I still think that, you know, we were like, well, who's going to be with the first team in the joint practices? And I'm like, yeah, they'll probably both do first team reps with the joint practices. He probably won't let us. Like, I think he is. I think he wants to make the right decision, but I don't think but I do think he is in a hurry to make the decision, because again, it's his words, not mine. You know, wanted to have a decision made, or wanted to have a number one by the time they got to training camp. Then he had to walk that back, and then we've just been picking apart every single thing: pads, no pads, just like you had mentioned. I think that he's bothered by this. I think everybody should be bothered that nobody has taken the reins of this. I really do. I think there's no coach on earth. Like, fans can think what they want. There is no coach on earth at any level of football past flag children stuff that are just like, yeah, it's a totally open thing until we get to week one. Like, they want to have a decision. They want somebody to step up and grab that mantle
and walk
and
through
be
those,
the quarterback.
Yeah, be in the meetings, being the guy everybody looks at, walking around in the hallways as the quarterback.
Exactly. It's not just him. It's also everybody else. Like, there has to be that mantle of leadership that's there.
Yeah.
And you could be a tough talker or a slick talker, as somebody called me yesterday. I was like, oh boy, that's nice. Like, there's that, or like you really want to be able to have a guy that's there that they can, okay, we're going into the season with this guy. Like it or not, we got to rally around him and let's go. And I think that, yeah, it bothers me. I think it should bother a lot of people that, yeah, there's no decision that's made. And I'm sure there's going to be people here that go, well, there's no hurry. Yeah, there's always a hurry. There's always a hurry.
They wanted this done
to make sure that they want this done
already. I mean, Tom Monken had said that back in minicamp. So I guess this is the thing. You tell me if you believe this or you don't believe this. We have all said, and I think most every radio host has said, despite what a certain fan base thinks, like, if there is a tie, we all wanted it to be Shedeur. I think if it's anything close to a tie, Todd Monken is going with Deshaun Watson.
I agree with you.
He's going to go with the veteran.
Yeah, I agree with you.
And as frustrating...
It's not what I want, but I agree with you.
As frustrating as that might seem to everybody who doesn't want to cheer for that quarterback, fortunately, they start on the road for a couple of games, but I think we all understand we're going to see Shedeur. I mean, unless the people that were talking yesterday about trading him and cutting him, like, no, just stay here and we'll see him. Because what are the odds that Deshaun Watson would be able to win the starting job and start 17 games? I'd love to see the odds for something like that.
That, and when we say it, I think the odds are very slim. Is it
150 to 1? Is it 1,000 to 1?
I'm sure you'll say both, but injury or play. I'm sure you'll say both, but which one do you think is more likely? Well, I think it's more likely play. I mean, he can't just you can get injured every year, but it's just like, I can't expect him to have some catastrophic season-ending injury every season. Well, I mean, I say that, and he's had a catastrophic
But season-ending
injury
here
every
is
year.
Part of the problem. Injury.
You got to think 1 year is going to be different.
Put titanium rods in that Achilles, man.
injury.
Well, I hope not. You still got to move.
The injury part of it for a lot of quarterbacks is attached to the play, and what I mean by that
it's attached to everything. That's why Joe Burrow. That's why Joe Burrow did not make my tier 1 because he's always injured. I can't put you there.
But what I also
not available.
mean is that injuries can be because you're not seeing the field, and you don't understand where to be in the pocket, and you don't know where your offensive linemen are.
Bingo.
And you don't know where the rush is coming from.
That's true.
And so that's why you see a lot of bad players, even if they're drafted high, that just end up not being good enough quarterbacks. They put themselves in harm's way because they don't know how to play the position. And I don't know if Deshaun Watson at this stage of his career sees it.
Jackson Dart's sliding, by the way, in camp.
Is he
hope
really?
You noticed that. Yeah, there are a lot of Giants players were talking about it. I was following along with some things, and they were like, hey, he's actually sliding. We've been trying to tell him for a year to slide because he's going to get his head taken off. And so Jackson Dart's finally sliding. Like, yeah, you got to learn to protect yourself, and I think that's part of it. I think that the competition has been on. I think the competition is on. We all want, most of us want Shedeur Sanders to start, but I do think, again, it's easier with the least resistance is if you wanted to do it, I think Ty should go to Shedeur. I think that Close should go to Shedeur, but I don't think I'm going to get my way, and I'm not, and honestly, I'm kind of okay with that because I'm not in charge of a 53-man roster. Todd Monken is. And this is what some people, you've turned on Shedeur. I'm just turning towards wanting the Browns to do well. And I can buy logic in what coaches want to think and what most coaches would want to do, where, your veteran is probably going to be given the benefit of the doubt when you're a first-year coach and you want to make sure that everybody's on the same page or as close to on the same page as possible. Plus, there is a business aspect to it, to think outside of what Todd Monken's thinking. If I start the year with Deshaun Watson, we've said this a billion times over, and it's hard to disagree with it. If you start the season with Deshaun Watson, it's almost where you're like, all right, we can get him out of the way, and then I could turn right around to Shedeur Sanders. And this is where I don't buy any of the stuff about trading him. One, I don't think there's a market. Two, I don't know why you'd go through all that just to trade the guy at the end of camp, unless he looks completely helpless out there, and we'll find out because there's going to be big boys going after him. It doesn't matter whether or not they're going to be driving bread trucks at the end of this training camp or not. You're going to have big boys trying to go after him on Saturday. So we get our first real looking like pads, playing football, no orange jersey, like you got to go. We'll get our first look at that, and then we'll start to make those delineations on what's good and what's not. But some of the stuff that's being said is just, it's just crazy. It is very political campaign-y, and it's just not based in reality of it. Because it's easier to look at this and go, hey, let's relax for a second. Last year, you were thrown into the fire. Dylan Gabriel had a concussion. You were thrown into the fire. Literally, when it comes down to the game against Baltimore, you ended up finishing okay after a disastrous beginning in that one. And then things kind of went up and down, and we'll see how it goes. Now you have a chance to kind of rest and catch your breath for a moment and kind of see the field from a different level. That's why when some of the stuff gets brought up about trading or cutting, it doesn't make sense. The only thing I could wonder is that unless he looks completely overmatched and terrible in the preseason games or in this joint practice coming up against Buffalo, I'm sure he'll get reps against Buffalo. And then maybe that'll change our conversation because then you go, well, if he's just not ready to do it, he's just not, or if he's just not capable of doing it, he's just not capable of doing it. I find that hard to believe.
Yeah, and while the team...
And let me tell you this, real quick. You fired Kevin Stefanski because he couldn't get it out of Shedeur Sanders. Well, he was still able to get that out of Shedeur Sanders. Now Todd can't get anything more out of Shedeur. So you fired a guy, then hired a guy who can't get more out of a guy that everybody fights about. I don't know how much more, but you're expected to get more out of him at some juncture this season. Am I wrong? I don't think I'm wrong on that. That's why you fired Kevin Stefanski. I mean, there was also, winning 8 games in 2 years and a lot of other things that got involved with it. It was just time to move on. But part of the reason is that, hey, your quarterback play languishes. He didn't do very well with those quarterbacks. And if I'm not to expect anything better, then I guess I'm just making excuses for a coach that's coaching another team right now in the Atlanta Falcons, am I not? I think I am. What were you going to say?
I was just going to wonder about if the Shedeur fans want him traded so bad. That's not Shedeur. Shedeur's not going to openly or behind the scenes go, yeah, I want out now. Like, that's not happening, right? This is a great opportunity for him. He's going to be able to play this year.
Where's he going to go?
And he's going to be able to play this year.
Unless somebody loads him up with bad ideas.
And it looks like he might have some wide receivers finally. So
yeah. So where else is he going to go? I'm serious. I don't think that's.
Then you're starting anew
a
somewhere
good idea.
else.
Yeah.
And he's not Joe Flacco who could just go to another team and, all right, yep, well, you run that route, we'll play football. Because I've been doing this for 20 years.
I'm sure he'd be disappointed, and I'd be disappointed too, but you step in there, you be a teammate, seems to be an affable young man, and you're going to get your crack at it at some point. 216-474-0092. Well, did he clear things up with you at all when you heard some of those clips yesterday? And is the honeymoon over for Todd Monken? Are we officially judging Todd Monken now that, hey, the press conferences, the tough talking, that's over, the fun stories, the anecdotes, that's over, like it's time to get down to business? Is it time to really get down to the nitty-gritty with Todd Monken? All that and a pair of pants that fit at 6:43 on The Fan.
beyond I-71 because of an accident. Jeff Thomas, Odyssey Cleveland traffic.
Headline sports news every 20 minutes from the University Hospital's sports desk. We are Sports Radio 92.3 The Fan.
Zach Jackson at 8:20. Oh, I'm sure it's going to be a sunny morning with him. What? What are you laughing about?
That I had to reach back and get the microphone after I was showing you nonstop.
Well, because it covers up what you want to show me, and it's always like a sensor. It like covers up everything, your mic arm. Watch on YouTube. Subscribe for free. It's fantastic. 216-474-0092. So is the honeymoon over with Todd? I think it is, and I don't think it's a bad thing. It's like, hey, you got to step into reality at some point. We can't be newlyweds forever. Like eventually the boat docks and you got to get off and fly back to real life and start your life together.
What happened to trust the coach? Trust the coach. We haven't even had a preseason game yet.
No. I listen. I think that we all trust. Right now, we want to, but I mean, hey, it's the company you keep, man. We don't have a quarterback yet. We don't know who our starting quarterback's going to be. It's an everyday argument. I think a lot of Browns fans are like, yeah, I mean, we'll see whoever starts this year, but our quarterback's probably Dante Moore or Arch Manning or CJ Carr or et cetera, et cetera. Like, I think that a lot of folks are probably feeling my way. Because, guys, come on. We're getting ready for the first preseason game. So if we don't have a grip on this, I mean, we have seen it before. You always mention the, was it 2007?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
You always mention the 2007 Browns, and that's a hell of a thing. But, if you have to keep mentioning 1 year of the Cleveland Browns, it shows you how unlikely it is to happen again. It doesn't happen very often. So I think that a lot of Browns fans are just being realistic. Like, again, when you and I were doing the thing over there at that golf course yesterday, a lot of guys felt the same way we did. Why? Because that's real life. They're popping by, shaking hands, saying hello, asking us about the quarterbacks. We all gave the answer. Nobody got in a snit. They were all like, yeah, I think that's the way most Browns fans feel. And it's about going through this season with the least amount of anger, the least amount of frustration that you could possibly get to, and seeing if there's gold in the hills when it comes to some of the other players. Like, it's a big year. It's a big year to hope that Denzel Boston and Casey Concepcion just aren't great wide receivers based on the dearth of wide receivers you've had over the last 3 years. It's a big year for Spencer Fano to not just be better than Jed Wills, but way better than Jed Wills, and also a better teammate and everything else that goes with it. And to be a first-round left tackle type of offensive line. He may not finish his career at left tackle, but we're switching guys all over the place, so we'll see where that goes. Andrew Filipponi had Andrew Siciliano. Oh, God, that's the first time I'll ever, hopefully the first and last time I'll ever make that confusion. Siciliano had a great point yesterday about the offensive lineman we'll get to coming up at 7:20. There's a lot that we can still figure out this year because it's only Todd Monken's first year. I have no plans on asking for Todd Monken to be fired or entertaining a conversation him to be fired. I think it's ghoulish. I'm not going to do it. But there's still things that you can get to this year that's going to make it for not about momentum, but also like, hey, this guy's good, and in year 2 he should be better. In year 3 he should be better. Like, that's what you're trying to build on. And then if you insert the right quarterback, then yeah, the Super Bowl window that we make jokes about with Mary Kay, yeah, maybe it'll actually reopen at some point. But it's closed right now, and I don't know. You got good players in some places, but you also don't know what the building blocks really are.
Well, and then I'll tell you the difference between like something we were at yesterday at Rain Tree, by the way, beautiful place.
Now you're just naming names.
We were talking to a bunch of golfers who were very different from the online presence. Obviously,
they were real in person.
Yeah, the online presence, they have their guy. There's nothing wrong with having their guy.
They didn't have an BoJack Horseman walking up to you. Like, they were, like, right there.
But listen, as much as I like to poke and prod, like, all right, you guys got your guy. You're unapologetic about it, and you believe in him no matter what. And you know what? I wish everybody in life had that kind of a fan base, regardless of what you do. Maybe we'd be a much more positive society if that were the case. But in real life, the people I talk to, they'll jump on board. They just want somebody to earn it. They don't want anything to be given. They want somebody to earn it. And if somebody goes out and earns it, and if it's Shedeur, well, how fun would that be, right? That is the gist I get from people in real life. Like if Shedeur Sanders can come in as a 5th-round pick, somebody with all this attention, with the magnifying glass under them, somebody who has been on social media since the advent of social media, then you know what? This will be awesome because they will support you in this town if you earn it. It's not going to be given. It's not just something that they're going to accept because they're being told to. No, they have a more discerning eye when it comes to that. And you know what? Maybe that's the way it's supposed to be. Maybe you should have to earn it. And I get it. With Shedeur, he's earned it with his fan base based on high school, college, 2 different places. But that doesn't mean anything here. That's just not the case here. And you know what? This first game on Saturday, even if it's off the bench, even if it's against the 2s and 3s and 4s, that's a start.
Yeah.
Because the 7 games last year, that I think that almost was, while it was nice to see some good things out of Shedeur last year, I'm not even writing him off because of last year.
No.
Like I was glad that he gets a start this year with an open competition.
Let's highlight that because so many people just take you as the slippery wizard you are. But it's true. Like, you had a lot of things going against you last year. Whether you were Shedeur Sanders, whether you were Miles Harden, it doesn't matter. Like, there were a lot of things. I mean, we're talking about your boss getting fired. We're talking about whether or not the offense really works. People actively rooting against you, who are Browns fans in my mentions because they want the number 1 pick. Like, there's a lot of things that were against you last year that just, at least to start the year this year, aren't going to be going against you this year. So that's why there needs to be some sort of thing as a fresh perspective. I mean, you watch quarterback. I mean, Cam Ward had to deal with a hell of a lot of nasty stuff. Now, he's a number 1 overall pick, not a 5th rounder, but I don't think anybody should be giving up on anybody based on last year and after the type of seasons that they had to go through. Michael in Cleveland, you're first up on the fan. Hello, Michael.
Hey, how you doing?
Doing well, Michael.
Ken Anthony, how y'all doing?
Hey, we're doing well.
Hey, I just want to say something right quick. I got Todd Monken and Deshaun Watson and Sanders. But, hey, Monken's okay? He did what a coach do. You know what I'm saying? So he's okay. He's a good guy. I feel really optimistic about this coach, because he's coming in with a different system, of course, but he's coming in with a winning system, and you will see. And, last year was, we don't want to talk about last year, right, because it was crazy. But also, Anthony said about last year, Yeshua played 7 games. But he won some of those games, you know what I'm saying? And he did show some promise. So you can't take that away from him.
No, I don't think anybody. I think Lima's making that case. It's like, I'm not trying to judge him based on just last year alone, for crying out loud. I think that you try to wipe the slate clean as much as you can, but I think in certain ways it does kind of concern you that I try to wipe the slate clean with everybody, but I still know what I know of the past of the other quarterback, and I want Shedeur to be able to take that job. And I'm not losing my mind that he has it yet because we haven't played a preseason game yet, but I wish we were in a position that we could have made that choice already.
But look, let's get this Deshaun Watson thing out the way. Let him start. Let him do what he's going to do because the facts don't lie. You know that. You have the facts don't lie. But let's let him get out the way. And then Sanders is going to have a better way of coming in and getting himself prepared more. I got faith in Shedeur. I like the guy. I'm not saying I don't like Watson, but Watson has, I've been a Cleveland Browns fan all my life. I'm 64 years old. And I know good and bad. And, Deshaun ain't it. And, I don't care what he's doing in camp and all that stuff right now. He's going to show his true colors when it comes to these games.
You're right. It all changes, Michael. And we saw that from his first ever preseason game that he spent with us. And, Michael, thank you very much for the call. When it goes back to what you're saying about Todd, this is the first time that media has really criticized him, that fans have really questioned him. And I do kind of like that he's come off a little bit brazen in what he said, because I can't make him making decisions based on criticism from us. Yeah, we reserve the right. If he plays Deshaun Watson and he goes out there and sucks up the room and Shedeur Sanders is way better, hey, you made the wrong decision, and that's going to stick in the back of my head based on all the other decisions you're soon to make. as the head coach of the Cleveland Browns. Like I can't debate that, but he can't care about that. He's got to make what he believes is the best decision for the football team. So I think that he's probably still trying to keep an open mind, but I do think that he's probably honing in on what he's more comfortable with. And I think probably what he's going to be more comfortable with is the veteran quarterback.
Well, and the other thing that is going to be so tough for us to speculate on, this really, what I'm about to say, is so reserved for the guys that are there inside the meeting rooms every day, going over the film study, the homework, and everything that they have laid out for these guys as they are competing. But it is like, who's ready? So someone could be ready and worse, right? Does that make sense?
Yeah.
In a quarterback competition? Like somebody might actually have a chance to be better, but just might not be ready. And it's skewed because Shedeur got into 7 games last year. I'll keep coming back to this. Albert Breer went on the air last year at different times of the season on the afternoon show and said that he was told by people within the Browns organization that Shedeur was never supposed to play last year. That's going to be heard as some big slight because we see guys all the time come in who aren't necessarily ready and perform.
Mm-hmm.
And I know it seems ridiculous in this day and age to insinuate that somebody gets a whole redshirt year in the NFL, especially if they've played in college. And Shedeur played a bunch in college.
It's hard.
He played at different levels of college and played a bunch of games. So that's gonna be considered a terrible thing to hear about your favorite quarterback, that he might have been drafted and the plan was for a red shirt. And yet he played in 7 games. Yeah, there were good moments. Statistically, he was horrendous. But we all saw it. He did some better things than Dylan Gabriel did. And Dylan Gabriel played a lot of football in college. He's supposed to be ready. And he was a 3rd-round pick. That was a top 100 pick. But is there a chance that in Todd Monken's mind that Shedeur Sanders, this is a total hypothetical coming from me, that Shedeur Sanders is improving and they just might think he's not ready to start the season?
Yeah.
But especially with the offensive line, totally rebuilt. Let's let him gel a little bit.
We had a caller
and then
wanted to say
a little
that
bit
yesterday.
later on.
Yeah, we had a caller who wanted to say that yesterday. I'm sorry. I was going to make you wait for 5 minutes until I gave you my answer. I give you my answer right now. It's absolutely plausible. It is absolutely 100% plausible. Whether you are a big-time pick or whether you're a late round.
His fans will not accept that.
Well, I'm sorry. They're just going to have to start accepting some reality at some point because it could be very well the truth, and we could find out very publicly, like, yeah, he's worthy of being on the roster. He's just not worthy of starting right now.
Is that a terrible thing?
No.
Is that the worst thing in the world?
It's not the best thing in the world, but it's certainly the worst thing in the world is him to not be employed in the NFL. That's what the worst thing in the world is, but that is totally reasonable.
Very few guys, the way we talk about quarterbacks today, are gifted and ready week 1 and can win at an NFL level. There are very few. Name them. How many guys burst into the league? All right, Joe Burrow. How many guys, though, are ready
anymore
and can do it, and the infrastructure is there for that guy to win? We always say Patrick Mahomes had a city year, the Aaron Rodgers situation. Josh Allen was terrible. I mean, was not a good quarterback for, 2 years?
Alex,
2.5?
Well, yeah. I mean, there was some. The best thing that happened to Josh Allen was his month out because of the injury. Coming up at 8:20 this morning, Zach Jackson going to join us on the show. Coming up in 5, sports legends are just like you. They put their pants on one leg at a time. Except yours probably fit when you put them on. Ken Carman, Anthony Lima, take us with you to work on the free Odyssey app.
service.
Tri-County Electric is now offering plumbing. Locally owned and operated for over 50 years with a 4.9-star Google review rating. Whether it's for home or business, call today to get a free estimate for your plumbing and electrical needs or visit tricountyelectricservice.com.
This is Browns head coach Todd Monken, and you're listening to the number one sports station in Cleveland, 92.3 The Fan.
Sports legends or sports media legends in this case, but still a sports legend. If you're of a certain age. They put their pants on one leg at a time just like you, except yours might fit by the time it's all done. I saw the video of Chris Berman walking around down in Canton in the Hall of Fame, and I go, I think there's a logical explanation to all this. If you haven't seen the video, his pants are half off his ass as he's walking around Canton, Ohio during the Hall of Fame festivities.
Yeah, he has to give him a good hike to get him back up.
Half off his...
Most off his ass.
Yes.
He's got
underneath his ass.
Deep discount on the ass on his pants that he's wearing. He's got a pair of khakis, and there were so many people going, "What's going on with these pants?"
Yeah, they're going back.
And the one thing is that if you ever saw King of the Hill, it looks like he has diminished glutes. Like there is nothing back there.
No, there's nothing.
That is a missing rear end.
Is this a case of the type of guy, and I obviously have not had to worry about this. Is this a case of a guy who absolutely needs suspenders at all times? Would that help here?
Possibly, yes, but I have a different theory.
I can't wait to hear this.
So if you go to the internet and you just look at Chris Berman's pants, you will see that they are very weird looking. And they look like they are about 4 sizes too small at least. Yes, Owen?
The best comparison I saw was a picture of Mike Wazowski from Monsters, Inc.
Yes.
The eyeball that's just like an eyeball.
Yes, it was something. I think personally it's
so
it's Canton, Ohio. This is my theory. It's Canton, Ohio. It's Hall of Fame weekend. People in Canton, they got their antennas up during Hall of Fame weekend because now, especially in social media, there's pictures of a lot of guys at Harmon's or Jersey's or Sparta or any one of the places that are going out. People are hanging out, having a good time. You see guys walking around in gold jackets, or you see some of the luminaries of the NFL just out and about. That's what makes it really, really cool. 1 week a year, they come into town, and it's awesome. It's really awesome. And if you're out and about in Canton that week, you're going to see some major figures. And I'm sure, like, in certain parts of the country, maybe Chris Berman walks around and he's just an average Joe, like Los Angeles, California. There's so many famous people there. He probably blends right in. I mean, it's Chris Berman. He's a very famous person, for crying out loud here. For the love of God. But you're in Canton, Ohio. You're synonymous with the NFL. You're synonymous as one of the voices of the NFL.
He's an ambassador
in
of
prime
the league.
time. Yes, thank you. That's a great term. He's an ambassador of the game and the league to all of America for multiple generations.
Penny, my entire football life was NFL primetime and seeing him on ESPN.
And I think that because he wore a suit.
Yes, at a
during
desk.
but I'm saying he wore a suit during the ceremony. Because I think he's like the MC of the speeches, and he wore a suit. I saw that, and I think he forgot to pack himself a pair of khakis, of casual walking around pants, and I think somebody either A, he borrowed them from somebody he knows and just said to hell with it, I'm Chris Berman, I'll wear whatever, or B, like, you're in Canton, Ohio on Hall of Fame weekend. Chris Berman can't just go to Kohl's and go get a pair of pants and walk out with a pair of pants and go, all right, let's hit this with the wrinkle release and let's get going.
Yeah, these are chinos. These just
Village is right there.
I get it.
It just doesn't look like he would ever really wear these.
I think somebody went. I think he forgot a pair of pants. He needed a pair. Somebody who was with him said, I'll go over to the strip and I'll go get you a pair of pants. And they got him a pair of pants and they got him the wrong size. Maybe Maybe he's one of the vain ones who might say he's a size that he isn't anymore. Just like your driver's license might say you're a certain weight. That happens every now and then. He is of a different generation of newsman. They tend to be a little vain, and there's nothing wrong with it.
And Kay, I feel bad commenting for a couple of reasons, and this is why I want to defer to some others who could talk about this openly. I've been the same waist size for 25 years.
Congratulations on all your success.
And eventually it's not going to be the case, right? And he's 70.
Yeah.
So, we looked it up. It says he's 6'3.5". Well,
He's a tall guy.
How that goes, though. He's probably no longer 6'3.5".
Yeah, he's probably he's 71, so he's probably 6'2", 6'1".
Yeah. So that starts to happen. I don't know what kind of a fluctuator he is body-wise. Some people, I've got people in my life who every time I see him, if I see him quarterly, they look different.
You got this, the winter coat and the summer coat. Yeah, you get that.
Exactly. And someone who probably is always wearing a jacket to cover up if there's something that's ill-fitting.
Absolutely.
In the back. My question is, if you don't have suspenders in this situation, you're just out in the open on a hot, humid day where I don't know how often he's walking among the masses at this stage of his life. I mean, Johnny Carson was a recluse at this age and didn't want to be seen in public. So it's different for everybody. Are you supposed to, if you had the right size pants, would you be wearing it?
Oh my God.
Over or under? It's an over or under situation. And he's got the belt, obviously, as well. So these pants, I don't even know if he can wear over.
I think I just destroyed my own theory. I just Googled because I wanted to see what he looked like. I'm like, I've seen Chris Berman golf in like a Pro-Am before. His pants are half off his ass in the Pro-Am back in the day.
Yeah, you're right.
No.
This is how he wears it.
This is how he wears his pants.
This is Chris Berman every day.
He has no ass.
Well, he has to.
That's the problem.
He has to pick a choice either way. Like, he has to decide, is he going to go over or under? He is choosing under. Would you choose over?
What do you mean?
Would you go above the belly and above the backside? And do the hike up?
Oh, my God.
Because that would look silly, too. That would be Humpty Dumpty.
Belly button?
Yeah, that would be Humpty Dumpty.
Well, that's, and probably with Chris's build, that's probably a 10-inch pant size.
Oh, man. Yeah,
8-inch
huge
pant
difference.
size.
Oh, my gosh.
Huge swing. You're right.
Look at these pants. They're always that. No one said anything. I'm sure his.
Who's going to say something to Chris Berman?
Oh my God!
And
anybody?
And didn't his wife pass away?
Yes,
kind of tragically,
terribly. But I'm sure she said something back in the day. Oh my goodness!
Well, she didn't get a chance to say it on her deathbed, Kenny, because she died tragically.
I understand that, Tone. I'm not saying that. I'm just pointing it out that somebody had to have said it to him, but at some point during the time,
the last wishes.
Stop it! Why do you need to say that? You don't need to say that. My God! But
I'm saying,
looking at
Chris Berman, a multi-millionaire at his age. Nobody's telling him how to wear the pants. Who's going to tell him?
Maybe he just doesn't care. It looks like they're holding on for dear life, though. He looks uncomfortable.
And it looks like they've been that way for 20-plus years.
Oh, folks. Well, I still love Chris Berman. He's still a legend.
You know how they always have those memes like, how would a dog wear a pair of jeans, or how would a horse wear a pair of jeans? How would Chris Berman wear a pair of chinos to have it optimized?
Uh-huh.
This way or this way?
I think you got to go suspenders.
But
then again, you can't just wear suspenders
without
and about golfing, can you?
No, you can't.
I think he's got diminished glutes.
I think there are a lot of individuals as they age who have this exact problem, but they're not in public with cameras around them every day.
I was trying to find the very best excuse I could, and I thought it was a good excuse, and I thought it was a reasonable theory that, hey, you only come to Canton once a year. Maybe you packed in a hurry, you forgot some extra pants, and somebody went and got pants for you, and they just didn't have the right fit. It happens. This is, oh boy. Is this my future?
I think a lot of people wonder if this is their future.
I got enough back here to kind of.
But you just hope nobody's filming you and then mocking you online.
No, because I saw him in the video. I saw him hiking him up, and I go, I hike him up.
Filming Ken
The same way. Oh, there's plenty of people take films of me, see like, oh my God, he's going to do something stupid.
This on Ken. I don't know how many.
Yes, times. Keith will do it again. Keith has videos of me doing God knows what for years and years and years. I went through a weird phase with Chris Berman at the very end when he was doing the home run derby, I was like one of the people who were critical, and then we were without Chris Berman for like a year or two, and I'm like, man, we really miss Chris Berman. I was a total idiot for saying that. So I'll take prime time. I'll take home run derby. I'll take anything with Chris Berman. As opposed to the guys they shove down your throat now every time you open up their app. For the love of God, I have no idea who those guys are, and they try to act like the most hilarious duo that's ever lived in the history of broadcasting. Zach Jackson at 8:20 this morning. Coming up in 5, going first or second. It's a pretty big damn deal, and somebody who has way more pressure on them than any of these quarterbacks in this room. And I'm talking about a Browns player. I'll tell you who at 7:22 on the Fan.
It's Anthony Lima for Van Scoy here. And if you are ready to head into football season looking the way you want to look, well, there is somebody who can help you here in Northeast Ohio. That is Todd Van Scoy of the Unbelievable. They are so valuable.
reaction.
Brought to you by
Scheiben
Scheiben Jewelers.
Cleveland's premier jewelry store.
Let her read the tweet by the guy named Alex.
Alex, somebody who's come after me mostly in recent days.
Media.
He should be coming after you for not being able to hold it down when I told you 3 minutes ago what the hell we were going to do.
So he took to social media, and he said, wait a second. The Browns put themselves in this situation. They're the ones that have been hyping up and promoting Shedeur Sanders as QB1. And I asked Ken, I said, have they? Have they really?
And I said, yeah, I think Alex has a bit of a point.
I don't really think they have.
Listen, in real life, none of this stuff matters. So you can promote whoever the hell you want. If they wanted to, they could put Taylon Green all over the place if they wanted to. Fine young man. Spoke to him yesterday, by the way.
Oh?
Yeah.
Did you ask him what position he's going to play?
Quarterback, Anthony. He's going to play quarterback. No, we talked for 14 minutes, and the position he's going to play didn't get brought up. We talked about a lot of other things.
I thought we had been talking about him as some potent weapon that we could be using, maybe even down by the red zone.
We'll see where that road takes us, but let's not start right there right now. So Alex asked you that, right? And I actually, I think I agree with Alex. Like, it's the same thing like when people tweet at the teams, hey, stop starting this guy. It's like, well, the people on social media don't make the decisions, but at the same time, they want their feelings on public record of how they feel about the team. Hey, it's up to you. You promote who you want to promote. Dylan Gabriel, I didn't see any promotions of Dylan Gabriel. Probably a happy birthday at some point, but I don't know when his birthday is. I didn't see anything with Dylan Gabriel in it. Taylon Green, he just got drafted. You probably didn't see anything with Taylon Green. And you sure as hell didn't see anything with Deshaun Watson over the last couple of years, now did you? No. Which we even made a joke about when it comes to the happy birthdays. Remember, this great big happy birthday with emojis and exclamation points for other players. And then it was, happy birthday, Deshaun. And that was it. So that's where he was at one point last year.
He was on the subdued happy birthday list.
I think that Alex on social media, like, yeah, if I have to sit here and talk about it for 4 hours a day on the air and we can dig deeper, it's like, yeah, we know that doesn't matter. Social media doesn't necessarily matter. But I think to regular fans, it does. You've been promoting them. Who the hell was to think that, unless we were talking about it and it was Todd Monken and we were discussing how a veteran coach is going to want the veteran and the text we were getting, this, that, and the other. But on social media, I think it would seem to a general fan that Shedeur Sanders is the quarterback of the football team. Like if you lived in Turkey and you were on social media and you followed the Browns over the last year, wouldn't you assume that Shedeur Sanders was going to be the starting quarterback going into 2026? If you just had a cursory knowledge of the Cleveland Browns, would you not?
I don't think it's in the neighborhood of like in Chicago how they are treating as a team Caleb Williams.
That's a totally different animal. That is number one overall. That is a guy who played it big in playoff games. That's a totally different thing. I'm talking about the Browns. Like, no, they don't have billboards to the guy or anything right now.
That's what I mean.
He's not on the side of the building, but I'm saying if you lived in Turkey, if you lived in anywhere else and you followed the Browns on social media, I'd imagine you would be led to believe, if you were just a cursory fan, like, yeah, I like the Browns. I was in Ohio one time years and years and years ago. If you just had a cursory belief of the Browns, then you would think that probably Shedeur Sanders was the starting quarterback. I think you'd probably be a little bit surprised if Deshaun Watson were the starting quarterback. Would you not?
Well, so part of it is I wonder if I've just been in the bubble of this. So you're talking about, if you're outside of Cleveland. I'm curious. I mean, let me know. I did not approach this offseason. We thought Deshaun Watson was gone and he would never to be seen again until we started getting the word that, oh, no, he's absolutely going to be competing for this starting job. And then when that happened, I'm like, well, how is Shedeur going to beat him out given if Deshaun is as healthy as we keep saying, where the physical traits are back, even though I question how is that shoulder ever going to really heal. It caused all sorts of problems with his mechanics. He has certainly been throwing so many ground balls since he had returned, and now he's had surgery since then. But once we saw
as a person who has shoulder issues that I showed off at the throwing of the first pitch on Friday night that everybody saw, like, yeah, I can sympathize.
But since we had seen him, in training camp, I was like, well, how is Shedeur with a coach who's 60+ years old? How is he going to beat out Deshaun Watson if Watson's got the physical traits back?
I don't know how he's going to, but I'm just thinking about the general Aunt Kathy at everybody's family gatherings. Like, I think that Aunt Kathy would just go, yeah, that's Shedeur Sanders' kid, Deion Sanders' son. He's going to start for the Browns this year, right? And then if you said Deshaun Watson, she'd go, what? That guy? Like, that's what I think that Alex is alluding to, and that's what I think a lot of fans are. Like, I think that so many of them probably thought that Shedeur was going to start. And yeah, there's still a chance, but I would say that Deshaun Watson's the leader in the clubhouse, which brings me to a different question. If you were in this race, if you were either one of these QBs, would you rather start the first preseason game or the second preseason game? Do not slide out from under the question and bring up the joint practice. I ain't talking about the joint practice right now. That's a cheap out.
Well, that's in conjunction with the second game.
I understand
right?
that.
They're kind of linked.
But you would also say if you had to start one or the other, it's almost like an overtime. Would you rather take the ball first, or would you rather see what the offense does and then you can adjust to it as you take over on offense with your position? Which one would you rather have? Would you rather start? Would you rather do the honors in game one, or would you rather play in game two?
Honestly, I don't know. I have no idea, because the Bills, I would think that Todd Monken would want whoever's starting the Bills week, because it's also the joint practice, that would be of a higher level of competition than going up against the Bears backups and whatever. So I would think that the Bills week's more important.
I would think that the Bills week's more important, but then again, my level of competition is probably going to be a little bit lower with the Bears. I don't know how many starters are going to be playing on Saturday.
It is going to be lower.
So I think I'd rather go against cover 2 against the Bears backups, and I'd rather go against
see what you're saying.
Maybe something a little bit more intricate, even though it's different, but there's also going to be a story that's going to be said. That's why I'm trying to leave out and keep it to its base. I'm trying to leave out the joint practice and leave it to, okay, just let's go to preseason games. We're not going to get to see joint practice. All the fans are going to get to see either of the preseason games. Which preseason game would you rather start if you were in this competition?
Well, okay, yeah. So by that, it would seem like the Bills, by the Chicago Bears game would be an easier, none of it's easy, but a challenge that could be more easily navigated.
Okay.
But then from the evaluation standpoint, are you taking that and weighting that the same as the Bills week?
I'm not sure. I mean, you go back to Brian Hoyer. The whole reason Brian Hoyer went on a run is because in preseason game 4, what was it? Jason Campbell couldn't go, and they decided to put Brian Hoyer in there, and he went out there. No. He ended up playing in the preseason game 4. He ended up playing exceedingly well in that game against the Bears. Remember, that was the Jerry Angelo special? And then they were able to, they had Brian, and then Brian skipped him in the pecking order when it came to starting quarterback because he had done so well, and it seemed that Jason Campbell didn't really even want to be there. Now, I know that there's a lot of booze in between those memories, but I think that I got that one right.
I don't
so
remember that at all.
Preseason games, I know you guys say preseason games don't matter. They matter to some level. So if you were in the competition, which one would you rather start? Would you personally, because I have an idea where I think maybe Shedeur would rather go, but I want to know whether or not Anthony Lima would like to start game 1 or game 2.
I'm saying I think they'd be taking it more seriously, whoever's starting the Bills week. That's who Todd, if you really think Todd has in his mind this, I want this guy, I'm giving these chances and I'm saying it's an open competition, but really that Bills week to me is a much more serious week. Like I thought that Todd Monken might just say yesterday, not who won the starting quarterback competition. It's not over. But, hey, this is a Shedeur Sanders week, or this is a Deshaun Watson week, and then the following week is the other one.
We're to Tuesday, and Saturday's game day. He hasn't said it's in either of them week yet.
Yeah, he didn't do it because I thought they were going to approach this week as a more serious football week than what we've had.
Well, it's all serious football, but I don't know how serious it's going to be when it comes to actually picking your starter. 216-474-0092. Would you rather start the first or the second preseason game? And a player with more pressure on him than any of these quarterbacks in this room. Ken Carman, Anthony Lima, Zach Jackson, 1 hour from now on The Fan. Northeast Factory Direct in your home. Could be 1 hour from now. Could be a day from now. Doesn't matter because they've been doing well for over 20 years and counting. They do it with integrity. They do it the way it was meant to be done because direct is in their name, meaning that you're not dealing.
11, a 3.85 ERA. Meanwhile, last night, Minnesota beat Baltimore 9-5. Austin Martin had 4 hits, including a solo home run. Former Guardian Josh Bell 2 hits, including a 3-run homer. The win puts Minnesota into a tie with Detroit for second place in the AL Central, 3.5 games out. And that means the Guardians all alone in 4th place. Don't miss the premiere of the Todd Monken Show tonight, 7 o'clock, right here on 92.3 The Fan. From the University Hospital Sports Desk, I'm Jeff Thomas.
Keith texted us. This is the 4th time in history he says I was right, because he does a lot of calls from people out of town.
Yep.
And he's like, Ken's right. Like, every time I'm on calls from, like, programmers from out of town and stuff like that, they're all just like, hey, Shador's starting, right?
Well, did
they just assume he's the starter?
Did they
he's the guy.
assume that because the Browns pumped that up, or because who else is here?
Well, what? Yeah, he's a quarterback. Who are the Browns supposed to pump it up for?
No, but what I'm saying is I haven't thought that the Browns have been like, that's our QB1, like all offseason, like they do in Chicago,
maybe not,
like they do in Cincinnati.
But it's just it's just
with all the
law,
signage.
But it's just the law of what you have. They don't want to push Deshaun Watson out. They have shown more highlights, but it's because it's training camp. Taylor Green didn't exist in our lives until late April. Dylan Gabriel.
We all assumed he was getting traded.
I think Dylan Gabriel? Yeah. I think many of us still assume he's probably getting traded at the end of all this. So there was only one guy you could put out, so it had to be Shador Sanders. So most fans just probably assumed, outside of Cleveland, most football people, not even football people, just casual observers who consider themselves football fans, just assumed that Shador Sanders was going to get the job. And so it probably this is probably maybe throwing off a lot of people. And you will have to deal with this, where you and I are very close to it. Browns fans are very close to it. And you and I can see the logic, even though you want Shador to start, I want Shador to start. We could both see the logic that they would decide that Deshaun Watson would start. I think you're going to get a real blowback on this. I think a lot of people are going to be very surprised, who are just general football people, general fans, that Shador Sanders wouldn't start this season to be Deshaun Watson. I think you're going to get a lot of pushback and a lot of surprise if Deshaun Watson were to get the job. But I think if anybody were just checking in as a casual fan, bopping around the internet, and saw reports that, hey, maybe Deshaun Watson's leading the charge for quarterback with the Browns, you go, what? I think that's part of it. 216-474-0092. I want to get back to the first and second preseason game question here in a minute. I was thinking about this yesterday as we were talking with Daryl. And I wanted to bring it up yesterday. Never got a chance. I want to bring it up now. We've done a lot of talking about quarterbacks. And you've mentioned that, hey, it's entirely plausible that Todd Monken goes to the drawing board and goes, this offensive line, it's new. We have a veteran there. He's dealt with worse offensive lines before, or inexperienced offensive lines. Maybe the tie goes to the veteran, and that's one of the reasons because of it. Definitely a point that you can make. Definitely a reason it would happen. We had a caller bring that up yesterday, and I thought about that too. And I don't want to tailor everything to just an offensive line, but I think that there's something to it. A young, inexperienced QB, it would feel very much like you're throwing him to the wolves at the beginning of the season when you have 5 new offensive linemen out there in front of him, for crying out loud. But there's a guy who I think that has more pressure than any of these guys combined. I like Shador Sanders. I think our starting quarterback is in college in 2026 right now. And for 2027, our starting quarterback will be drafted, and we'll move forward with that guy probably I would imagine in the high first round. Deshaun Watson, I think he's done after this year. I think that's a post-June 1st cut or whenever the hell they decide to do it. We can ask Daryl or Jack Duffin how that all works, and we move on. Dylan Gabriel, I think he'd be traded by the end of the year, and maybe Taylor Green is a backup for a while, okay? Or he ends up playing a different position like you've always wanted him to do. I think the most important guy that we don't really talk about that much, and Daryl kind of brought up the fight with Jared Verse, is Spencer Fano. I mean, he's the first-round pick, and you already have a bad taste in your mouth because of the other first-round offensive lineman that Andrew Berry had taken back in 2020 in Jed Wills. And when Daryl had mentioned, this was exciting, fans were excited because it's like, all right, we got a guy who cares. We got a guy who's willing to fight, unlike Jed Wills was, because, he kind of had that face like he just didn't give a damn at all times, and that just sends fans up the walls with him. That, maybe Spencer Fano is going to be that guy. And I think there's more pressure on Spencer Fano considering that he'll probably have to move around the offensive line if he has a nice 10 to 12-year career, hopefully. If he's able to do that, there's going to be more pressure on him than there is on any of these quarterbacks. Because with the exception of the most ardent fans of either of Deshaun Watson or Shedeur Sanders, I would say most Browns fans feel that our future at that position is not on this roster right now.
Well, when
he is the future of this, and he is on this roster right now, Spencer Fano is.
Yeah, when you're a top 10 pick and it is at a position where they had already tried to draft highly, and it didn't work out, and the ghost of Joe Thomas, who's sometimes there at camp, like that is pressure, okay? And it was interesting that the way that people were reacting over the last week, like, is he not gonna for sure get the starting job? And then yesterday, Todd Monken, made him the starting left tackle? Like it's pretty understood now. That was important, and I think that should at least comfort some people in the interim here until we actually see him play. That's good to see. That stuff with Jared Verse obviously was something the fans absolutely loved, and the fact that they could go at it in practice and then after practice still seem like, hey, they're not only teammates, like they're bonding, and this is just the natural order of things in a football locker room. Like I love that. I absolutely love that because this is such a tough position. It is so tough. And just being a rookie on an offensive line in general and being a top 10 pick, like there's going to be pressure. But you're supposed to be the answer for the next, not when we talk offensive line. You're
supposed to be starting for a decade.
A decade.
Yeah.
Like, think about that.
It's still
in
the
sports,
expectation.
Nothing's a decade except offensive line.
It's unfair. Guys move around a lot more than they used to. I'm trying to adjust. I don't want to over-adjust to it. I've been a stickler for it in the past, but they're expected to – your best are supposed to start, and they're supposed to be plug-and-play still for a lot of fans, and if they don't, there's a great big red flag that gets brought up. Like, the whole thing with him trading off last week reps with DeJuan Jones, I already started to see it. I wasn't going to bring it up, but you already saw a couple of fans going, oh, God, here we go.
People were nervous.
And I didn't think it was anything to crack the crust over, and I'm glad it isn't, but I think there's going to be other positions there because maybe DeJuan Jones is having a fine camp. Maybe he's going to be more comfortable over at right tackle because I know DeJuan Jones loves to play right tackle way more than he likes to play left tackle. And if you do have him over there at right tackle, okay, what do you do with Titus Howard? Do you bump him over to the left guard or right guard spot? Do you do something like that? Because I think right now you might be in a position where you just want your best five out there, Tone. Maybe you just want that. But I think that Spencer Fano has way more pressure on him than any of these quarterbacks.
The more pressure than a quarterback, that's interesting because I just always operated under the assumption that every quarterback who is especially in a precarious situation like, say, Shedeur, where you're trying to carve out a future, and a lot of that's going to be relying on you playing well this year. Like Spencer, we're not saying has a chance to either be on a different team next year or who knows who's going to give him an opportunity. So that's where the pressure, I think, mounts
No
for
one's
Shedeur.
talking about him playing in Canada next year, Spencer Fano. No one's talking about his career being over next year, Spencer Fano. I understand that, but I'm thinking just from a fan, and personally, I think you're right, but I think from a fan perspective, like, once they go, it's up to them to continue their careers. I think that there's guys that we wish well for, but it's up to them, and if they can't continue their careers, we really don't care, and we're thankful for the time they have with us. But I think for the fan base and for Andrew Berry, like, he's not out of the woods right now. Like, he looks better because he got Deep Podesta out of the way. He looks a lot better without Paul. He's looked a lot better because of the last couple of drafts. They've loved this last draft. They really, really like this draft in 2025. There are some guys that it seems that there have been some changes made, and we're fitting in more culturally. But you still aren't out of the woods because now you have to answer for this lack of greatness in your quarterback room because you're probably drafting a QB. What's going to help him get to this coming off season? Like, I'm not thinking that Andrew Berry's job is in question right now, but it's going to be a long year. And what's going to help you get there? Spencer Fano doing well. That's what's going to help you get to be able to make that decision to fix this quarterback issue. Casey Concepcion, Denzel Boston doing well, other positions doing well. If your other positions are doing well, it helps you start to figure it out. And also, there's the other thing to it. You look at those these three players that I just mentioned, the two positions that they play. What positions does it feel like Andrew Berry has had a problem with throughout his 7 years now with the Cleveland Browns? In charge. It's been offensive line. It's been wide receiver.
Wide receivers, yeah.
Now, he hasn't had a chance to draft a wide receiver very high up until this year. But before that, the offensive lineman that he drafted before was Jed Wills. I don't need to tell you about Jed Wills. All you need to do is bring up Tristan Wirfs. And that's not set well with people. And there's plenty of people who wanted his ass fired years ago over that misstep here. Well, now you have another chance. There's a ton of pressure on Spencer Flano.
And my biggest complaint, I think, above everything with Andrew Berry was that I thought we could all see the writing on the wall 2.5 years ago on the offensive line situation coming to a head. And it literally came to a head in this offseason when I don't know that it had to. I don't know how a GM who's as smart as Andrew is, and I think has done some really good things. I've been very critical, obviously, over the years. How could you not be with their record and all of that? But, like, how do you ever get to a point where you have to swap out an entire offensive line in one offseason? That just seems like poor planning.
I can tell you about it.
It's some bad luck, too.
It is a little bit, but I can tell you it gets very nitty-gritty. Like, Jack Conklin, what were you going to draft that, or what were you going to sign in free agency at that time? Yes, with the injury history, I understand that. Who were you going to sign at that time that wasn't going to be as expensive or even more expensive than Jack Conklin? Were you in a position to go to the draft? No, you weren't in a position to go to the draft at that time to replace a Jack Conklin, truly. The decision was Zach Zinter. I love Zach Zinter coming out. It seems that the injury that happened with him at Michigan has just stayed with him his entire career, which is really unfortunate. Some guys are able to come back from it. It seems that it still seems to hamper him to this day, and he's been banged up. Obviously, the Jed Wills pick was a torrential miss that really made people feel bad. Like, he's had those misses before, and it's for those reasons why I think there's a lot of guys going, yeah, Kenny should have been fired 3 years ago. Well, he's not been fired. But I think that if Spencer Flano is going out there and he just becomes a revolving door, that is going to stick with Jimmy Haslam going, wait a minute. Now, this is 2 big first-round picks you might have missed on here, and now we're going to go after a quarterback? We're going to go after the guy that I'm going to try to hand my keys back over to my franchise again. We're going to do this, and I'm going to trust you on this. Like, that might be the Waterloo for him. So if Spencer Flano goes out there and deals with probably inconsistent quarterback play, because you'll probably have more than one playing for you all year, deals with inconsistent play along the line with a bunch of strangers, perfect strangers up until April going into this year. If Spencer Flano is able to play well, that's a hell of a feather in the cap for Andrew Berry. So, yeah, personally, like Spencer Flano, if things work out here, excellent. He'll be taken care of. He'll be a Brown probably for most of his career, if not all his career, because it's still an offensive lineman. Even if it doesn't work out here, he'll still be picked up. He'll still have other opportunities, and he might catch on somewhere else. Like Cam Irving was still able to have a career after Cleveland. Austin Corbett was still able to have a career after Cleveland. Like other guys were able to find it. He'll still be able to do it. Personally, it's not as much pressure as Deshaun Watson, who may be out of the league at the end of this year. Shedeur Sanders, who's questionably out of the league after this year, if he isn't able to play to a high standard. Dylan Gabriel gone, maybe Taylor Green ends up being a backup. There's more personal pressure on those guys. But organizationally, for the general manager, for the fan base, way more pressure on Spencer Flano. Because, again, to every Browns fan, the real Browns fan, I'd say the vast majority just thinks that the quarterback next year is in college. But Spencer Flano is supposed to be here long term, Tone.
Well, look, we talked about having a guy here for a decade and being able to fortify an offensive line. I mean, that just changes the dynamic of a team completely if we actually get decent offensive line play. And so that's something that going from Stefanski to Monken, especially with the Stefanski / Wyatt Teller thing last year or the front office, like I still am not exactly sure what happened with Wyatt. Who is he not going to be starting in Houston?
I've not paid very close attention. I apologize. I've not paid very close attention.
And just the fall off there, and we saw some of his play clearly fall off, but it was like, man, he got benched, with how many weeks left in the season.
Well, no, they wanted to rotate.
Yeah, rotate.
Because that's how highly they thought of protecting their quarterbacks. They decided to rotate offensive linemen and bring him in cold on 4th down and short, because that's always a really smart decision to make. Will and Medina, would you rather start the first preseason game or the second preseason game? Go.
Hey, good morning, guys. I mean, I think it's a no-brainer. If you're a dog and you want to be the starting quarterback, you want to get that first shot, and you want to never relinquish it. So if you come out game one and put the pressure on the number 2 guy, you have the best chance of going into the season. If you want to sit back and hope for a better opportunity or something to that nature, then who are you to be the starting quarterback of this team?
That's tough talking, Will, right there. I like that.
I would agree, Will.
I like that.
I would have agreed had Monken not already said that both guys are going to get a start. So it's not like if Shedeur plays well, it's not like, hey, you get to start the more important week, which is going to be the Buffalo week.
Yeah, but if I go out there in the first quarter, say I get a whole quarter and I throw 2 touchdown passes and no picks and I look pretty damn good throwing to some of these guys, that's going to be in everybody's mind headed into week 2 for whoever starts in week 2. I think that's what Will's saying. So you get a chance to punch first, and if you punch first and punch hard enough, that's going to be in everybody's mind because they're comparing it to 2 touchdown passes and no picks in a quarter of football.
Well,
That's what Will's saying.
If you come out in game 1 and you light it up like you're saying, and then in the second quarter the other guy comes out and he's playing with his number 2 and number 3 receivers, number 2, number 3 wide receivers, throws 50%, throws maybe an interception and 1 touchdown, and then next week he starts and he has a bad first drive for whatever reason, like there you go, like it's automatically going to set the precedence for moving forward. So if I'm the guy who wants to be the starting quarterback, I'm trying to put all the pressure I can on the other guy and show that this is my job.
Will, thank you very much for the call. I love the perspective.
What I want to be careful of is I don't want to just give the job to somebody who performs against backups if the other guy ends up going against starters and goes up against the Bills, who are supposed to be a Super Bowl contender, and actually in the joint practice. Now, I know Monken said right now he's going to divvy up the reps in the joint practice, but as we saw this week, that is always open to reversal.
Coming up in 5 minutes and about last night, a career ended yesterday, but for most folks with eyeballs, it ended 3 years ago. Who is it? We'll tell you in 5 on The Fan. Peter and Company Jewelers in Avon Lake. It's unfair.
Cowboys defensive tackle Quinnen Williams signed a 3-year, $106 million contract extension, garnering the highest guaranteed money of any defensive lineman. What do you think Quincy thinks of all this? Quincy's been overshadowed his whole NFL career. He went third. Quinnen went third overall in 2019. Quincy went third round in that same year. Quinnen went to Bama. Quincy went to Murray State. Quincy's 5'11", and Quinnen's 6'3". Quincy's contract this go around 2 years, $13 million. I think he's going to be motivated. Are we in for another pro season?
Are you asking if a milkman was involved
That's a
in this story at some point? What are you saying? That didn't have the same genes? I mean, he's doing pretty well.
Speculation.
He's in the NFL. He's also signed $1 million contracts, just not as much. I think he's done well for himself.
I don't know why it had to go there. Just one has... every now and then, one brother is going to have a lot more natural gifts than the other one.
Look at
but I think
Giannis, look at Evan Mobley.
I think it goes to Stan. I mean, hell, if they were my sons, right? I think I'd be more proud of Quincy.
Ooh,
I'd be proud of them both, but I'd be more proud of Quincy.
But you'd be hitting up the other one for more money.
Well, they're my sons. I don't need to be hitting them up for any money. They can give me what they should owe me after all these years of raising them and doing right by them, but
something off the top.
You wouldn't be more proud of Quincy than Quinnen?
Well, no, make your case though. Because he's undersized.
Well, one is a 6'3" monster. So if he works hard, you got to work hard to be in the NFL. You got to work hard to be a good football player. So it's not like he was just born on third base or anything like that. But one guy clearly is more self-made than the other one. One brother is clearly more self-made than and that would be Quincy. So I have Quincy, who's played now. He'll draw a pension in the NFL.
Yep.
Third-round pick of the Jags, been around since 2019. Was an All-Pro in 2023. Still on this side of 30, at least till the end of this month. I'm proud of both of them, but I'd be really proud of Quincy.
You don't think Quincy's a little bit like, okay, now I got to show my worth. Now that my brother is making the big bucks again.
I think that he's lived that his entire life. I don't think that this is some new phenomenon with him. I think that probably they played on the same youth football teams together and things like that. It was always Quincy, all right. It happens.
There's a third brother, Giovanni, who was on the Jets practice squad.
Is there a silent Q?
Giovanni.
I don't know anything about any of the other ones, so I only know about Quincy and Quinnen. Moving on.
The Phillies and Twins will play in the Field of Dreams game this Thursday, but it will not feature ABS. This season, there's going to be a handful of games, really 4 games, that won't feature the new technology. The Mexico City series between the Padres and the D-backs, that was in April. This Field of Dreams game, and then the upcoming Little League Classic between the Braves and the Brewers. I kind of like it. It's kind of poetic. You're playing baseball on a cornfield, and you don't need ABS. They can't do it because they don't have the Hawkeye camera technology, because it's just a temporary thing.
There really is an actual logistical
yes, there's a legit reason.
Okay. I've loved the ABS system. I've just wondered why we even need to do appeals.
I've totally come around. I think the appeals make it a little bit more dramatic, a little bit more fun. They don't take up nearly as much time as I was afraid of. I've totally come around and done an about face on ABS.
Do you think it's going to be weird watching the game, though? I don't know if you're going to watch it. You're not. You guys aren't Phillies fans at all, but it's a baseball thing that I would watch regardless. But do you think it's going to be interesting watching a baseball game without ABS after watching this whole season with it implemented?
Yeah, will it be different? Will it be all that different? I mean, I think you'll just go back to grumbling about calls.
Yeah, I think that's part. But I do like the human element of it. But there's also, I think the ABS is perfect because they've made the human element there. Like you're guessing whether or not it's a strike or a ball. You're an educated guess. I think it's kind of fun.
The superimposed box, though.
We should.
So,
we should.
Yeah,
definitely we should.
You can at least bitch about that.
Got anything else there, John?
That's it for About Last Night.
Is that it for About Last Night?
That's it.
All right, fine. I thought you had more, but you didn't. That's okay, though. That's all right. Perfectly fine. Coming up at 8:20, Zach Jackson going to join us on the show. You did a tremendous job anyway. And I hope the Browns are paying attention to the Bills and nothing about on the field there.
of the things that truly enhance a home that people come over and go, whoa, you have motorized shade solutions? You have impeccable lighting design and control that accentuates all your technology. Kenny, there is a reason people from all over team up with Tony Fabric and Extend Technology.
Because it's just good sense to do so. It just makes so much sense for your home, whether it be for your bedroom, whether it be for your basement rec room. It doesn't matter, whether it be for your entire home. Maybe your home hasn't even been built yet, and you want to get a smart home feature done. You can do that with Extend Technologies. The power is truly in your hands, figuratively and quite literally, from an app on your phone for anywhere in the world if you want to operate things in your home. XTENDAV.com.
This is an Odyssey Sports Minute.
Pro Bowl defensive tackle Quinnen Williams and the Dallas Cowboys have agreed to a massive 3-year, $105.9 million.
92.3 The Fan. From the University Hospital Sports Desk, I'm Jeff Thomas.
All the hits, grunts, strains, and sprains. Training camp coverage like nobody else. The Afternoon Drive. Weekdays starting at 2. 92.3 The Fan.
Thursday, October 22nd. I'll tell you what it is after the contest.
Oh, it's a day you're going to want to mark on your calendar. But first, we're looking for a winner and the code word. That's GRIME, G-R-I-M-E at 923thefan.com. Before 9 a.m., your chance to win a $50 gift card to Blue Falls Car Wash. And now you're qualified for the grand prize, a 6-month membership. Plus, this week only get a free car wash at the Blue Falls Car Wash in Stowe and Cuyahoga Falls. Brought to you by Blue Falls Car Wash and Sports Radio 92.3 The Fan.
Thursday, October 22nd. The home debut for the Philadelphia's LeBron James and Jaylen Brown taking on who? The Cleveland Cavaliers. Thursday, October 22nd.
Yeah, we are getting not even leaks. These are official schedule.
NBA communications. This is official. They got the gold check mark next to them. Wednesday, October 21st. Doesn't concern us. I don't care. 7 o'clock. Thursday, October 22nd.
Yeah, no
7 p.m.
No Christmas Day games. They have the list of the Christmas Day games. For those that do care, there's a rematch of the NBA Finals with the Knicks and the Spurs.
We're not on Christmas, is what you're saying?
We are not going to be playing on Christmas, so you can go about your holiday in peace. The 76ers are at the Lakers.
I guess I'm kind of like, all right, we don't play on Christmas because last Christmas was horrific when we gave up that lead. But it shows you what they think of you.
Yeah, right now, as the Cavs are still trying to figure out the James Harden contract and the flexibility that will give them and the potential moves that they could make. But all quiet right
Somehow,
now.
there's even more of a malaise than there was after we got swept by the Knicks. Because LeBron didn't decide to come back because, well, according to some people, they didn't make a good and strong enough pitch to bring LeBron home. But Lima said it was okay. You don't need to pitch to LeBron.
No, they had nothing to pitch, apparently.
All right.
That was the point. Hey, they did get the in-person meeting.
I never got to give you my actual response to that because it happened on Friday, and then I went on vacation. And I got to tell you, and you ain't going to believe, Keith won't believe me, but it's the truth. I was just like, okay. It just plopped there in the middle of the room. It's like when a dog just goes into the middle of the room and you're like, okay, well, I guess I got to pick this up. There was nothing.
Well,
like
especially took us by surprise because we were literally told by someone who is very close to Mike Gansey that they were out of the LeBron running.
That who, the Sixers were?
Yeah. Somebody very close.
Pittsnoggle?
It was not
Kevin Pittsnoggle, no.
Are you sure? About a car from that guy.
It was not Brandon Weems
You
either.
bought a car from Kevin Pittsnoggle?
No, but I wanted to.
Currently, the Cavs don't have a general manager. They don't have a James Harden contract. They do not have a trade for Jonathan Kuminga.
Things are going well.
Or Peyton Wallace. We're at a standstill right now. And we do not have a Christmas Day game. We do have a WNBA team name. They're the Sirens.
We're flying under the radar, man. We're flying under the radar. We got them all where we want them right now. I don't know what we're going to do come basketball season, man. The malaise, it got even thicker. Somehow, like usually you unfog your eyes and get ready for the season. It got even thicker this summer.
I do see a lot of Evan Mobley getting up those three balls, and he's got a little thicker.
Yeah, then you ripped him for it. You ripped him.
It's not the most natural of jump shots.
Sucks.
You know what the most natural thing is?
What's that?
Surfside Hard Iced Tea in our Cavs conversation.
And I ask you to please enjoy that Surfside Hard Iced Tea responsibly.
So, yeah, all we know right now is one of the Cavs games again, and that would be against the Philadelphia 76ers Thursday, October 22nd.
That's the one we know.
That is not LeBron's debut with the Sixers.
No.
Actually,
it's the home debut.
Opening night, they play the Knicks 2 nights before that.
Well, good for them.
And don't forget, that is not a cup game either. We will have the 76ers for group play.
They are in our group.
And I'm guessing that means a better chance at LeBron Coming here to Cleveland
for Shador now.
for a cup game.
It all just hit me
Special
here.
cup court.
Oh, what the special court?
People are in a funk with the Cavs. Baseball is about to go into a lockout for God knows how long. Shador, we need you, man. We need you.
Take some steps forward.
You gotta hit the ground running when you get a chance here, man. You gotta
Especially
go.
if we don't win that cup game.
Because if we don't win that cup game, it's curtains, man. I don't know what we're going to talk about. Axel's piano lessons.
Oh, it started?
Oh, well, no, I want him to be a little bit more well-rounded. Mm-hmm. And his buddy, his buddy is a trumpet player in, like, middle school band. Yeah. And I'm you've never shown any interest in trumpet, ever. You just want to play trumpet because your buddy wants to play trumpet. That you've never shown any interest whatsoever at all.
Are you sure it wasn't just the buddy?
What do you mean?
So, it's now my kid's that's a senior. When he was in sixth grade,
mm-hmm.
everyone wanted to play the baritone tuba. And it's because the band teacher said, we need to find some of those. They were doing Cruton for the upcoming class. They know who's playing what by the time they get to high school.
They're hitting the hallways just like we would for football.
Know they are. There was an outpouring of French horns 2 years ago.
Well, French horn is kind of fun. You take a look at that thing, and that looks fun. Sousaphone, I think, would be the most fun.
Philip had his hands all over it.
It wraps around you lovingly and tight. It's a wonderful instrument.
They say it's the Python of instruments.
Indeed, yes.
They really needed that tuba player. This sounds like Whiplash.
But what I had said to him, I go, you never expressed...
J.K. Simmons.
I know one sousaphone player.
You never, ever expressed interest in playing... Whoopsie-daisers. You never once expressed interest in playing trumpet. You only want to play trumpet because your buddy's playing trumpet. He is half-assed pretty good. He goes over to his godparents' house, and he, plays the piano. He's half-assed pretty good at it. For taking no lessons, way better than I ever would have been.
Is there some real talent here?
So there's something there, and I'm like, why don't you just continue to do it?
Yeah.
We got him a keyboard for his birthday. All right, go on up there and do the Dale Gribble if you want to. That's fine. And I'm like, now you want to try trumpet? I go, it doesn't make any sense. What do you mean? I go, well, it's the same thing as trying to be good at golf. I want him to be better at golf than I was because when you're 40 years old, you're not going to go running into people and playing football. You're going to be playing golf. So go play some golf. Learn to be good at golf, and it can help you in life. And if you're hosting a Christmas party at the age of 40, you don't just pull out a trumpet in the middle of cocktail hour, but you can go up to the piano and if you want to, and it's a nice little parlor trick and a lot of fun for everybody. I'm not wrong here.
No, I love the thought of this. I listen as I've gotten older. I love listening to music and being able with my kids to talk about the different instruments. And I know nothing about music.
I'm open-minded to it all. But man, I'm like, you never showed interest in the trumpet. Why? No. Well, his uncle plays trumpet. Okay, but when we went on vacation... When he left early in the middle of the vacation on Wednesday, it's something you do.
Yeah.
It's a totally normal thing to do.
Back.
Time to go.
Loop them valves up, man.
His buddy listens, and I don't care. I'm like, yeah, it was weird. He went and he practiced trumpet out on the balcony in the morning, but he had a silencer on the trumpet.
Wait a minute.
So it's you're not bothering people. You don't want to do that.
An adult man practiced trumpet on vacation?
He was really bored, man. He's a hands type of guy. He does not relax well. Like me, I could sit there and just look at the ocean and go, I'm sitting here in front of the ocean. This is what I'm going to do for the next 90 minutes. He will not do that. We are different people.
Like a bugler at war?
No.
Okay.
But
I like a good bugle. So should he start of a horse race?
Got to.
Well, that's the longer bugle that they have. But maybe he has a dream to be at the Kentucky Derby that I don't even know about.
Out.
Yeah.
Someone's got to do that job.
But what I'm pointing out is that he needs to... It's like, dude, you're already kind of half sort of way there with piano. Just take it the whole way if you want to.
Yeah, but you can't play piano in the school band.
No, you can't. We asked her about that. I'm glad you brought that up. We asked the teacher about that, and they go, Well, when they get older, they have the whatevers when they do the jazz bands and the whatnot.
Orchestra, which is like strings.
Yeah, okay. Well, there's no strings on a piano.
Yes, it's a stringed instrument.
Strings or no strings.
What do you think the key's attached to?
Strings.
Does your son know who Timmy Trumpet is?
Oh yeah, they know who it is. I mean that was one of the best. That was one of the biggest songs a couple summers ago.
Edwin Diaz.
Yeah, for
remember?
Edwin Diaz. Yeah, and he still was playing baseball, and every kid wanted to come out to Timmy Trumpet. So it was they know it well. But I'm just thinking logically here. No offense to all the trumpet players. My late uncle was a trumpet player. Uncle Jack played trumpet, and then the Timken High School band. Yeah. Uncle Jack ain't around anymore. Neither is Timken High School, come to think of it. But still, he played trumpet. I don't know if that trumpet's still around. I bet it's not. But, just like, hey, you're halfway there with an instrument. Like, we all flirt with the possibility of picking up an instrument at some point. I got to sneeze.
Well, recorder. I had a recorder back in the day.
Yeah.
It's required
and
at our school.
I got about a year out of that.
No, I got about nothing out of that. It was forced upon me. I hated it. I hated every second of it. And I couldn't wait to throw it in the trash.
Can you imagine being the music teacher and you're hearing all these kids way out of tune on that damn thing? It would drive you mad. You'd have to really have patience.
I think they're in a different headspace than you are. I think they're really into it.
We had Mrs. Drotleff, and she was an older gal, and she was on that piano every day, trying to get us ready for chorus. Thinking 8th grade, and we had to take it. We were all in it. I think you either had chorus or band. You had to do one or the other. So I did the chorus.
Really?
Oh, yeah.
You had to do that in high school or just in 8th grade?
8th grade.
Yeah, we didn't have to do it.
And we would that would be our goof around because we'd be standing up there. We'd have the girls next to us. We were very interested, and the talking never stopped.
Oh,
that was the goof around period. I felt so bad now looking back for Mrs. Drotleff. And then when things would go awry, she'd be playing the piano and then to get everybody to stop talking.
Poor Mrs. Drotleff.
It was so jarring. It was like a horror movie. That got our attention. That happened 10 times class.
I can't imagine. See, that's why they let us choose. It's like, well, it's either going to hold their attention or it's not. It wasn't holding 8th grade Kenny's attention. That wasn't happening. Drafting class, now that held my attention. Yeah. Mr. Gabrick, shout out to him, man. He knew what the hell he was doing.
Oh,
good teacher, man.
A different drafting.
NASCAR situation.
No, yeah, like drafting, like drawings.
I remember that.
Yeah, the plans and the whatnot. Yeah, there you go. All right, coming up in 5 minutes, Zach Jackson. I'm not going to talk about his old high school memories or anything like that. We're going to talk Browns football. And are we keeping Shador all year? Weird things being said out there. Silly as hell. We'll run it by Zach coming up in 5 on The Fan.
Guardians trail Chicago by 4 games in the AL Central. Last night, Minnesota beat Baltimore 9-5. The win puts Minnesota into a tie with Detroit for second place in the Central. 3.5 games out. That means the Guardians all alone in 4th place. Don't miss the premiere of the Todd Monken Show tonight, 7 o'clock, right here on 92.3 The Fan. From the University Hospital Sports Desk, I'm Jeff Thomas.
Second doesn't even matter. I mean, what the hell, right?
Oh, come on, Kenny. It matters.
Oh, we'll figure it out. As Zach Jackson joins us right now on the Wise Heart Right, We Make It Right, Call Kyle Right hotline. Good morning to Zach Jackson. Hello, Zach.
Hi, guys. How we doing?
We're doing wonderful, or about as wonderful as we can, talking to you in the morning, but you're a man who spits the truth the way you see it. So let me ask you this. If Shedeur isn't the starting quarterback, are we keeping him all year? There were some crazy things said yesterday amongst social media and everything like that.
Shedeur's going to start a lot of games at quarterback this year. I'm not sure that's going to be in September. I don't know how many. I don't know how it's going to go. But that seems like a wild scenario to me, to where he would be traded. Now, we have not begun the preseason except for one game, and I'm sure you wept during that game seeing how much better Carson Beck looked than what you see every day out of Berea. But I just don't really see a scenario where the Browns move on from Shedeur Sanders.
What's your problem? I said Carson Beck proved a lot that last year at Miami. I said that last year, and I wasn't a huge fan of his.
It was jarring to watch him throw, and compared to what we watch every day.
The Hall of Fame game, Zach?
Yeah.
I call that one ball hospital ball. That's just me. That's just me. Go ahead, ask him a question.
All right, Zach. So what did you make of the brand new first-time head coach and the way that he handled the quarterback situation and the messaging about the quarterback situation? And do you think, as a media member, Todd Monken owes you the truth?
Well, it was strange for sure. I'm not going to make too much of it because I still don't get why they messaged it that way on Saturday or Monday. But I'm not going to make too much of it because it's all madness, Anthony. It just really is. So why he would expect anyone, media member or not, to believe the way he said it yesterday, I don't know. But it's his right. It's his quarterback competition. It's a root canal. And he chose to do it. But it's all madness. Like, they're about to put Deshaun Watson back on the football field in 2026. It's all madness. So, it might be something we look back on, but I really don't think it is. I really think it was an unexpected twist that they just didn't want to talk about. And, it's back to things at hand. I do think he was going to make his starting announcement yesterday before that happened. But again, I'm guessing. I don't know. Just really strange, but another day in the life out there.
Starting announcement just for the game against the Bears on Saturday?
Yeah.
Who do you think he's going to start? You think it'll be Watson?
Yeah. I feel pretty strongly it's going to be Watson there. And the other thing we haven't really talked about, even though we talked about everything, is like, even if Shedeur was clearly ahead, and he's not, like, Watson still has to play in the preseason. He hasn't played in 2 years. So if he's at all in the plans, at all in the possibilities, he has to play. So I just think the most sensible thing is you start Watson. He plays a couple of series. Then Shedeur comes in. You haven't scripted anything. You don't know what those opportunities will bring. He gets to watch the game early from the side, and then he comes in and plays a much longer period of time. And then you pencil him in as the starter, and you see how next week goes. So we're 11 practices in, but in terms of the next 10 days or so, 2 preseason games and a joint practice, and now away from the installation stage, I really think it's just getting interesting. So I think the best stuff, or the most important stuff, is yet to come.
Zach, we're always looking for the little things or the breadcrumbs. Do you see the players responding to one quarterback over the other, or the coaches maybe more supportive or coaching one up over the other? Have you been able to notice any difference?
No, not really. The number one difference that I noted, there are different things about the way Todd Monken runs practice compared to we watched the same coach for 6 years, right? But the number one difference being out there every day for every throw is the wide receiver play. The juice that those guys have and the way they occasionally make the big plays, but just in general, just the route running and the giving it a chance, whether it works or not, is the number one difference. But no, I would be really stretching to say that I noticed anybody getting coached differently or anything being different. There's times I'm watching for who Todd Monken is talking to and how he's talking to them, things like that. But I that would really be a stretch in terms of saying that.
Are we sure that Monken makes the call at quarterback?
Well, are we sure? I don't know. I think we better be sure. I think it should be. Now that leads to another discussion of doesn't someone have to jump in the way and say you can't possibly put Deshaun Watson back out there? You're unburdened by the past, but the rest of it cry over it every day is what the conversation should go. But yeah, I'm pretty sure that he makes the call, and I'm the one thing I'm sure about here on August 11th or whatever day it is 3 quarterbacks are going to start for the Cleveland Browns this year. The level of play is just not any good. It's not, and this is going to be an evaluation year. So there is a good number of good young players on this team, and this year is about developing and evaluating them. It doesn't mean they're only going to win 2 or 3. I don't know how many they're going to win, but multiple quarterbacks are going to play. I'm convinced of it.
Do you think people are accepting that?
I think some of the people I talk to are accepting of it. I think most people have a rational grasp on this. I think people should be excited about the wide receivers. I think the defense, looks good and has really given these guys, the quarterbacks, the coach, everybody, a push every day. I think there's a good tempo and energy to training camp, but there's no depth on this team. This team is going to be half first and second year players, and it's probably going to be bottom 5 quarterback play. So I don't know why anybody would expect any different.
Does Dylan Gabriel factor into any of these conversations at all, or are we just riding things out until he's out of here one way or another?
Well, I don't think he's going to be out of here. Let me say this. A week ago, Watson looked unplayable, guys, and that has totally changed. But he looked so bad. And he has thrown it better. He has thrown it much, much better on all the days but one. Now, when he throws over the middle, it still looks like it's going to be a pick six every time. But if you're watching every throw and every drill and charting every rep like we obviously are, the one thing you've noticed is that Dylan Gabriel is getting work with a twos. But that's what he is. He's a backup quarterback. And in the case where someone would be unplayable or unavailable, they're in no position to give Dylan Gabriel away. So he's a backup quarterback. He's not in the discussion here for the future. But it would take, going back to the top of the conversation, it would take a wild turn of events for me for Dylan Gabriel to be traded. And it would take them getting something in return, not just saying, oh, hey, we blew this pick and now we're going to move on, because they don't think they did. So they drafted a backup quarterback in the top 100, but that's what he is. He's a backup quarterback.
But didn't they put that on Stefanski?
They tried to, but that's unfair and untrue. That was an organizational pick. That was not Kevin Stefanski's pick.
Interesting. You're the first one I've heard say that. I'm just saying, you're the first person I've heard say that. I apologize. Go ahead, Tom.
Yeah.
Zach Jackson, right now from The Athletic. He's been there every single day. I found it interesting that Todd Monken earlier or late last week said Shedeur Sanders has come so far from where he was. But it got me thinking, well, where was Shedeur Sanders? He did play in 7 games last year, and of course his fan base, they talk about him as a Pro Bowler. Did Todd Monken really not think that much of him when he took over the job for him to talk like that? Because we're sitting here in a quarterback competition where we're wondering if Shedeur, who had some nice throwing days early, but then it looked like Watson supposedly had surged ahead of him. Where is he really, Shedeur Sanders?
Yeah, he's a developing quarterback. He was last year, and he is this year. I think, I interpret the way Todd Monken has consistently said that the same way. But where is he? I don't know. Do I think he absolutely got better over the end of the spring? Yeah. Do I think he's comfortable in some ways here and we see it? Sure. It's kind of choppy out there, and Monken continues to say that he's behind in the operation. The other guys have more experience. I mean, he and Dylan Gabriel have the exact same NFL experience, and he said Dylan's ahead in that. And then he tried to say it because Dylan played in 3 college programs. Well, Shedeur played in 2. So, this is a developmental quarterback prospect, and this whole thing is the guy that sunk the franchise versus the guy who, if he gets a lot better, could be an average starting quarterback.
Well, isn't there credence to maybe Shedeur still, even though he had those starts last year, which I think you can kind of just wipe out of your memory bank, understanding where that team was and how he was thrown into that situation and certainly not prepared really for that situation, that maybe he's still not ready, but that there could be some optimism that once the offensive line gels, once those rookie and second-year targets get another year or more games of maturation, that maybe it would make more sense for Shedeur to come off the bench, and that could be optimal for all parties involved?
I think the making it more sense discussion is separate than yeah, I think you could expect Shedeur to be better 2 months from now than he is, and that if he is developing, which it looks like, he's going to get his chance to play. So that's why I say, like, this is all just such madness. There's expectations. Why am I hearing Jeff Thomas in my ear?
We don't have somebody in the other room.
Yeah, it's all madness, and I can't complete my answer while I'm hearing that. Sorry, guys.
No, go ahead. So I'm just curious about where we are when all is said and done. Go into the season, all right, say Deshaun Watson is named the starting quarterback, not necessarily because he has seized control of it, just because clearly the coach doesn't necessarily think Shedeur is ready right now, which I don't think is the end of the world in a rebuild, in a maybe a bridge season or whatever. I don't think that's the end of the world.
It's not the end of the world at all. And my gut feeling, again, right now, more than 4 weeks before they play a game, is that Shedeur Sanders will not start the season, but he will start the most amount of games. That's how I see this going.
Zach Jackson joining us here on the Wise Heart Right. We make a right call, Kyle Right hotline. Very sorry for that snafu right there, Zach.
Okay.
Apologize for that. Well, it's the weird thing. It's like, well, are we just creating more controversy around a guy that doesn't need any more controversy, that he really doesn't stir up himself? It's just been the rest of us kind of getting it going here because, he's become such a polarizing figure, and I'm like, well, he doesn't really say much that is it's not Baker Mayfield, where Baker Mayfield would go right after media members and right after people he thought were haters and all this other stuff. He doesn't do any of that stuff.
Yeah, no, he hasn't done any of that stuff. This is the only active quarterback competition among the 32 camps, correct?
I think so.
Yeah. So, this is certainly the only one where they're considering putting a guy in Deshaun Watson's spot back on the field. It's the only one where they haven't named the starter, where we don't know. So the longer this goes on, everyone's free to draw their own conclusions. And it's not his fault that there is a portion of people living with every pass, living through the phone with every pass and every training camp practice. But when they constantly say that it's competition's going on, and then they take a practice day from him, those are the things that get pushed along. So, they're probably not going to be an answer until Sunday the 23rd. And I think I think the team and then all of us who talk about the team will get better once there is that. But that doesn't mean it's the final answer. They're drafting a quarterback high next year. Shedeur should be getting more reps and more chances here, and they should just sink or swim with him. So the fact that they're not willing to do that probably answers to some extent what they think of him. But we don't know that for sure because it's just the same, except for one day since the spring, except for last Saturday, every day has been the same. Every answer has been the same. And the results are okay. Shedeur's had a couple really good days. He's had a couple really okay days. I thought yesterday was a really okay day. They both looked good in one drill. Other than that, it was that. Watson's had two incredibly terrible days where you're like, what is even going on here? And then he's had two really good ones. Like, oh, man, the arm looks strong. He looks good. So now, finally, everybody's going to get to see in the two preseason games. And then in between, there's going to be important practices, including the most important practice, the joint practice, next week, a setting in which, Watson, in 2024, that was the reality check for the organization. Ken, you remember this Minnesota came in, and they couldn't get a yard. And the whole organization was like, oh, yeah, well, there goes that. And 2 years later, they got him back out there.
Those were fun times. Actually, the one that really sticks out to me, I remember, am I drawing a blank on our third rounder? MJ Emerson. Him and Justin Jefferson going after each other, and he looked really good against Justin Jefferson, and then he went out and had a bad year, which was surprising. And then I remember the one against Buffalo years ago where the Bills players were walking off the field and even talking trash to people who weren't even players, weren't even like on support staff, just regular media members about how soft the Browns were that day. That was a very bad day, and it ended up a very bad season there, Zach.
Well,
so
the single greatest joint practice moment is when Troy Hill fought Sterling Shepard 20 minutes after practice. That was there. But like the things you remember are 23 in Philadelphia and then 24 in Berea when Minnesota was here, when it was like, oh my gosh, guys, like this is just not working. Like this isn't vague. This isn't concerning. This is in front of your face that they can't get a yard.
You knew that Troy Hill was like old style with it because when they come to you up over the head, waving the fist, like that's how you know it's like, well, this is a different look. We got to be careful with this because most people get it around the face. He came up here with it, so it was a little bit odd. I remember that one. That was a wild one. That and the one where Freddie Kitchens basically had a bounty on anybody involved with the Indianapolis Colts. That was a hell of a day.
Right. And that's when Todd was on the staff. And Todd kind of alluded to that.
That's right.
So, so we haven't gotten a long-winded answer. The Browns wanted to scrimmage. They wanted to go out to Chicago and have a joint practice. For whatever reason, it didn't work out. And so then, especially when that didn't work out, we're under the assumption that it was going to be 2 days with the Bills because, like, here you're having a quarterback competition. You have a new team. Why wouldn't you want the extra days? So we get the schedule, and it's only 1 day, and Todd gets asked about it on the very first day. And he's like, well, you know, there's logistics that go into all of this, but for me, the fact that I'm not sweating it is because, like, on the second day, basically all you do is fight. Yeah. Here, do you remember that day in Grand River, Indiana, or wherever it is? Like, that's what they did. They went out there to fight. It was so embarrassing.
Such a good point. I love it. Zach, thank you. Do you got anything more for him there, Tone?
No, we're good.
Okay.
We're good.
Zach, thank you very much for the time. Again, we appreciate it. Sorry for the miscue there, and we'll talk to you soon.
Thanks, guys.
Zach Jackson on the Wise Heart Right, We Make It Right, Call Kyle Right hotline. How about that about Dylan Gabriel?
Yeah, I thought it's interesting because I know there was some weird speculation just 2 days ago that maybe Dylan Gabriel had unseated Shedeur Sanders. And it's like, no, but they've got him as the backup. No matter what, he's the backup.
40 minutes away. If you don't hate him now, you better learn to hate him soon. I want to react to what Zach just told us about this quarterback competition coming up in 5 minutes on The Fan. Window Nation.
getting something in return, not just saying, oh, hey, we blew this pick and now we're going to move on, because they don't think they did. They drafted a backup quarterback in the top 100, but that's what he is. He's a backup quarterback.
It was probably pretty naive of me to think it, but I just had to go with it. It just seemed to be such a out of right field choice in the third round. Again, a top 100 pick. I know it was late 100, but still top 100. To take Dylan Gabriel, an undersized quarterback who immediately they said to be a career backup. I'm like, well, wait a minute. This is a 3-win football team. What position are you to take backups, career backups in the third round? And you're still looking for guys who you can, maybe not necessarily third round, depending on the draft, but you're looking for guys that you could develop into starters. If you're saying this guy's a career backup, then let somebody else in a better position draft their career backup here. What are we doing taking him? And now he's here, and he has looked better in this camp. Certainly, I mean, compared to the reports that Darryl was giving us last year. And it wasn't that Darryl was wrong, by the way. I know a lot of people were upset, but we saw that, no, he was not ready to be playing in the NFL whatsoever last year. So Darryl ended up being right about that. Didn't have the greatest bedside manner, but he was right. And if he's taking a step forward and the other ones are just kind of whatever, then, yeah, I think Zach is right. And I think a lot of people would just assume that, yeah, you're probably going to have 3 quarterbacks playing at some point this year.
Obviously the way that the NFL is working out, like you see, like 8 quarterbacks play all the games, and then the rest of them are all in and out. And I would assume, like if you were to ask me right now, I'd say 3. Like if you said the over-under on quarterbacks the Browns play this year was 3, where are you weighing in on that?
You got to say 2.5.
2.5, yeah, that's better. 2.5.
I think you'd take the over, wouldn't you?
Put that as a poll. I would love
over
to
under
see
2.5 quarterbacks play for the Browns this year. I think you'd take the over. I think you'd say 3.
And that's not even the Browns'
it's been 3 or 4 the last
dysfunction.
couple of years.
That just go around the NFL, do that for every team. I mean, it's
It's
incredible.
A fair point. No, it's a fair point. But I think what he's pointing out here is that, what I do think we are getting here is a little bit of reality. Now, it's only Tuesday. Like yesterday, I saw a little bit of stuff when I woke up on Monday of the quagmire of the weekend that was people paying attention to the Browns because of Todd Monken saying that Shedeur Sanders was going to go with the ones on Saturday and then pulling the old switcheroo and putting Deshaun Watson with the ones on Saturday. And I didn't think his explanation yesterday was all too great, but that's the beauty of being a head coach. It doesn't have to be all too great because we're about to find out how results-based this business really is when it comes to Monken. More on that coming up at 9:01. But I think that with these 3 guys, yeah, like the first 2, you're debating about whether or not they're going to start your season. If there's an argument to be made for Shedeur, I'd love to make it, but I think that we are getting kind of a dose of reality here going, yeah, if we get hit over the head so many times with the truth, eventually we have to start accepting it. Yeah, I always bring up the Myles Garrett thing, and I've had a couple of the Shedeurians get involved with me over the last couple of days, and I tried not to pay that close of attention to it because it's going to wrap you up into a cocoon. But all honesty is that they knew what they were doing when they moved on from Myles. They got a nice return back. But when I keep getting they didn't say that, Kenny. Well, the Rams just traded Myles Garrett to go to the middle? They didn't trade for Myles Garrett just to go to the middle. Like you trade for the best of all time, arguably, by the time it's all said and done, one of the best of all time anyway, because you're trying to get over the top. The Browns don't trade one of the best of all time if they thought they had a real look at it this year. And I think they admit they don't, and I'm okay with that considering the mess that they put themselves in. But I'm telling you right now, the stuff about Dylan Gabriel, I don't think very many fans really want him to be a starting quarterback because of what happened all last year. Nothing against him.
Well,
I think
just
it's more
because of the way he played?
Yeah, I think part of that, I think part of it is that they were questioning the pick right off the rip when it happened, and they ended up all being right. Everybody who questioned that pick last year ended up being right. He was in over his head. He wasn't ready. He didn't excite anybody nearly to the level as anybody else, certainly Shedeur. Like, it just seemed to be like, no, this is a career backup. We might as well kick the tires on Shedeur. But if that's an organizational pick, and Andrew Berry's making that choice, I mean, I was over here saying about Spencer Flano, and I still believe that. That's a big-time cornerstone piece that you're hoping is going to be at left tackle there for the next decade, or a starter across your offensive line and a high-level one over the next decade, depending on where they want to go in the draft here over the next several years. But when you get to Dylan Gabriel, like that's going to stick in the back of people's heads if Andrew Berry is making the choice next April. Now, you went with Dylan Gabriel. Unconventional Dylan Gabriel at that time there in the third round.
Well, or can you, to play devil's advocate, can you say, hey, he had never really had the chance to take wide receivers early. He finally did this year, and look what happened.
Because it all seemed to line up. That's true, but that all seemed to line up with the theory of it was a Kevin pick. Kevin made the choice. They decided to give Kevin his pick, and then the real organizational pick happened for a quarterback in the 5th round with Shedeur Sanders. If it's an organizational pick, then what exactly happened in the 5th round with Shedeur Sanders? Was it just, well, he's back there in the 5th round, we might as well take a flyer on him? I mean, okay, because I think you got to be bigger than guys on the radio and people on the internet and all the content creators going nuts about one quarterback that is right now vying for the job and is not a firm, solid starting quarterback in this league right now. I think you got to be better than that, but that's still something that's going to affect me for the future. And I think it should. Just like Spencer Fano would affect you if he does great this year. If they got to go into the offensive line business next year, which they probably will with one of their picks. I don't know if in the 1st round, but they're going to have to probably go into the offensive line business. It makes you feel better. Just like what you said about wide receiver, Anthony. They have a bad track record of wide receiver. Well, they haven't really had a chance to draft high at wide receiver. And they've taken Casey Concepcion and they've taken Denzel Boston, and both guys look really, really good right now. Mm-hmm. So hopefully that'll make you feel a little bit more confident. It's an inexact science, but you can only play on your confidence with a person. That's all you can really do because it's all theory on what you think is going to end up being a good player. 9:20. If you don't hate him now, you better learn to hate him soon. And a former Browns coach called it, quote, a results-based business. The current head coach is about to learn that the hard way. Coming up in 5 on The Fan.
in 4th place. Don't miss the premiere of the Todd Monken Show tonight, 7 o'clock, right here on 92.3 The Fan. From the University Hospital Sports Desk, I'm Jeff Thomas.
Talk sports deep into the Cleveland night. Overtime with Jake Volnick. Weeknights at 7. Sports Radio 92.3 The Fan.
Oh, we thought the honeymoon was over earlier. It was the very first line out of my mouth to start the show this morning, and if you want to hear that again, I don't know why you would, but if you do, or anything else, you can use the rewind feature, which is absolutely free on the Odyssey app, powered by Integrated Restoration, your local experts in water, fire, and storm disaster restoration. I want to do a quick right turn so bad. This NBA schedule that's starting to leak is bothering the hell out of me. I'll tell you why coming up at 9:43, okay? Mm-hmm. It's really bothering me. As a Cavs fan, as a person who likes this team, it's just, it makes me sick to my stomach. I'll tell you why at 9:43, okay? We got a lot to get to. Monken yesterday, the Monken man gave his, I guess, explanation. I think the honeymoon's over. I don't think it's a bad thing. The honeymoon ends for all newlyweds. It's not necessarily a bad thing, but Todd Monken yesterday gave his reason, quote unquote, for the QB switch on Saturday for practice. Here's what the Monken man had to say.
Shador on Saturday took the ones in the walk, so I anticipated him being with the ones. When I walked out, guys grabbed me and said, hey, the last couple of days we've been kind of looking at it. Shador's got a few more reps with the ones. That's all it was. I wasn't even at the moment. I was like, yeah, sure, we'll flip it, and then next week we'll go the other way. I sure as hell wasn't thinking about coming back in here and telling all you guys that I was going to change my mind, because I really don't have to. And so that's just the way, being the head coach, I can kind of do that.
Before I get to that second clip, you buy it?
You know what? I was a little more convinced than I thought I would be. I thought I would be very cynical. You know me, and I'm trying to be open-minded this year. I'm trying to be open-minded about Monken. I'm trying to be open-minded about Shador, believe it or not. I'm trying to be open-minded about just about everything. I'm a little more closed-minded on Deshaun Watson's future. But given even Dylan Gabriel, Kenny, I've been trying to be open-minded about. But I do love that Todd Monken, at this age, got to the point in his career where he got to say what he said at the end there.
You just gave me another question to ask about Dylan Gabriel right there. You go right on ahead.
I think all of us in life strive to get to the point where we don't have to answer for something if we don't want to. And that had to be pretty cool for Todd Monken to get to this stage of his career in a role that he, quite frankly, and he told us, he thought he would never get. And he is there, and he gets to just tell the media, yeah, I'm the head coach. I get to do what I want to do. Like, that has to be pretty freeing. I don't know if it means he's going to be a good head coach or not, or make the right decisions or not. But I think in everybody's life, they hope to get to that status. Like, you get to be it as a parent, I guess. You get to finally just tell your kid, that's the way it is, and I'm the parent, and that's the way it's going to be. And you know what? Maybe many of you are listening, and some of you have risen to the point in your careers where you get, maybe you're a VP, maybe you're a manager, maybe you get to make the decision, and you've obtained that level of leadership where you get to just tell somebody, that's the way it is. I don't really need to be questioned about it. And now, will that work over the course of the season? If you're 1-4, can you do that as the head coach? Mm-hmm. You know, it is a constant battle of, we wondered if Kevin Stefanski, after his second coach of the year, was he going to earn any more cachet? You know what? He really didn't. He kind of didn't. Now, maybe in the building in certain areas he did, but we were wondering.
He was the only guy who was successful and lost power.
Well, that's what we were saying at the time, too. We were wondering, like, was he going to be able to tell Andrew Barry and Paul DePodesta and whoever, was he going to be able to tell them, no, this is what I want? And it kind of seems like he never really did rise to that level.
No, it didn't. And maybe it's because of his own, I have no idea. Maybe it's just because of his own personality. I wish I could tell you that.
Maybe he didn't want it.
By the way, that's a great analogy you made, because I think one of the things, like, listen, I'm not Bob Saget in Full House here. Like, we all make mistakes, but Owen can tell you this, and I think you've observed it a little bit. Like, what are we doing negotiating with our kids? Right. This ain't no negotiation. Yeah. And I treat them, there's days where I treat them exactly how I want Todd Monken to treat all of us. I don't owe you an explanation for anything. This is the way it's going to be. How do you like that? Boom. Next question.
And obviously, Kenny, Bill Belichick got to the point in New England
it's a great example.
He just wasn't going to answer. And yeah, the sports talk radio guys that do what we do in Boston, because the team was just good every year and they had to come up with something to do, they would be critical of Bill Belichick. But did anybody care?
No,
because they'd look at the rings. They'd look at go down to their man cave and see all the banners and all the cool moments.
I mean, there was a time he walked on water.
Memorabilia.
It wasn't until Tom Brady left where he actually could be criticized. And boy, it's been rolling downhill ever since. Here is Todd Monken on the QB competition. He says it's still open as long as these reps are being shared.
As long as we're still sharing reps, it's a competition. I promise you, I'll tell you. When I know what we're going to be doing, you'll know. So at the end of the day, today, as far as I know, Shedor's going with the ones, and then Deshaun the next day, and then Shedor will get Wednesday with the pads on.
So he says the competition's still open, which is what he should still say, because I don't think anybody should get comfortable. I think that he's uncomfortable with it. I think he wishes he could name a starter. But we all wish we could have ourselves an all-pro quarterback that we wouldn't have to worry about. We could just wind our watch and keep going. He doesn't have that because he's just taken over the football team. So if he's just taken over the football team and you have this open competition, it's the only true open competition in the NFL. Go ahead.
I think that this should dispel any of the stuff that I started to hear. And obviously it's Shedor fans where it's coming from. But that this thing was rigged from the get-go. I think people jump to that conclusion out of their emotions. They want to make themselves
feel better because their favorite quarterback didn't. And, hey, I've been that way before about stuff, but not once has it come out of my mouth that I will not accept that Deshaun Watson might be the starter. Or even, you know what, I'll throw Dylan Gabriel in that matter. I'd be shocked, but it's not going to come out of my mouth that it's rigged for somebody or it's taken a nasty turn against somebody. No, that's nonsensical anymore.
We should. I do want to know from the fans whether or not you think it's rigged. I heard a lot of people saying that. And then if
rigged for Deshaun Watson?
Well, yes. That's what an element of the fan base had been saying. And they thought it was supported by the, quote, lying out of Todd Monken. And I think yesterday, even if you believe Todd or don't believe Todd or you thought it was misstated or the way that he tried to clarify it, maybe it didn't pass muster with you. Either way, I think he's being fair. I think he's being more than fair. I think it has been a fair competition.
I think he's doing his damnedest to be as fair as he possibly can.
If you don't agree, let us know. Honestly, let us know.
That you don't think it's a fair competition?
If people don't think it's been fair and that this whole thing was rigged from the get-go, let us know.
Listen, Saturday was a weird look. I think he's made it as fair as one can make it, almost to the team's own detriment. Because once we get past this first preseason game, we really got to start nailing this thing down. That practice, that joint practice, we really got to start nailing this thing down, man. We got to get going. These guys, I'm telling you, they need leadership, and you need to make that decision as soon as you possibly can. Now, I understand that there's games that need to be played, but I do not want to have to face the possibility of going into the final preseason game with, we don't necessarily know who it's going to be. And we're going to go back to flipping a coin land very, very quickly. They got to make a decision as soon as they possibly can. Whether I like it or whether I don't, I need to be able to see their decision. And whether I love it or hate it, I'll be able to buy the logic out of it. Because this is what it is. I don't think there's any perfect way to do a true QB competition. And he's doing his damnedest. If this is the truth of what he told us yesterday, then they are doing everything they possibly can to give everybody every chance they possibly can between those two guys to show that they got something that they can lead with. Him saying that, going back to that, you think about this. He was planning on Shedor Sanders playing on Saturday, practicing on Saturday. Think about this for just a second. He's planning on practicing with Shedor. He has people who are counting it all out, the reps, and they say, well, actually, Shedor has a few more, so we're going to go ahead and we're going to flip him. I mean, that's as honest as you possibly can be, and right down the line as much as you possibly can be. I mean, that's wild. So to sit there and tell me that this thing is rigged for Deshaun Watson when we are making sure we count and double count the reps, You're just telling yourself something to make yourself feel better. Because I've never really seen. I know that there's reps that are counted. Certainly, I mean it's right there in the rundown with the ones and the twos and everybody else. But damn, we're making sure over. It sounds like a handful. Shador's ahead by a handful. I'm just taking him for what his word is right here. That's all I'm doing. He could be a total line of garbage for all I know. But I can only take the guy for what his word that he gave me. So the whole thing about, well, Jimmy's making sure that Deshaun starts. Jimmy's making sure of this and that when it comes to Deshaun. They owe Deshaun all this money. Does it sound like that in that clip that they care about how much money Deshaun Watson's making?
No,
when
not
we're
in that
trying
messaging.
to find equitable reps for everybody and making these arguments for everything. It doesn't sound like that to me. No one wants to hear that who's a big-time Shador fan, and I've been killed over it online over it. But I'm just trying to tell you the status of the truth is that I think there's plenty of Browns fans out there in real life who don't want to see him. And I think the Browns are very sensitive to that. And I think that, yeah, in private, how could they not be rooting for Shador?
How could they not? I keep coming back to that all the time.
Did we
How
not
could they
see that? Go back to a month ago and the QB or the football camp. Did you hear the kids? Do you see the way that they react to Shador Sanders? The Haslams don't want that to be possible and work out? You're crazy. You're absolutely crazy. So that excuse to me ain't going to wash. But I remember when Mike Pettin said it was a results-based business. And I think Todd Monken's going to learn about the hard way because there's nothing perfect that works with this. But like you go back to the 2007 season. I know it was a long time ago and it was a different era. I mean, we're talking nearly 20 years. But that season started out, you traded a guy. Am I not right about this? Did you or did you not trade a guy after the first game of the season? 2007's 10-6 campaign. Did they or did they not trade Charlie Fry after the first game of the season? Am I right about that?
After he had won the starting job.
I thought so. Maybe I'm wrong about it.
No, he did. He won the starting job over Derek Anderson.
Okay.
He got benched, I think, by halftime, and then he was traded. To Seattle?
I thought it was. Yes,
Seattle.
Charlie Fry started the game, benched at halftime. The following week, he was traded to Seattle for a 6th round pick.
And then Derek Anderson went on to win 10 games.
I mean, this is a guy who admitted he flipped the coin between quarterbacks here. Did Romeo Crennel, no offense to him, he's been on the show, nice guy, great defensive mind. Did we not just realize that he got lucky, and then what happened the very next year? Did he or did he not get found out? I mean, sometimes, as results-based as it is, like you look back on that should have been a complete and utter disaster. And after the first week of the season, when you lose 34-7 and we're trading quarterbacks after the first week of the season, it is a 100% out-and-out disaster. Did he not just have a horseshoe in certain places on him? 10-6 after that? You made the decision. You went with Charlie Fry. Charlie Fry was a young guy. You decided to go with him. Going to this, I worry that it could be the best laid plans. And I'm okay with them getting a little bit lucky on this. But I do want, and this is where the season, and this is where we talk out of both, I talk out of both sides of my mouth here. I want it to mean something. So if they make a mistake in picking their quarterback, I do kind of want it to be apparent. I don't want it to be able to be covered up with wins and losses. You can't fire a coach after 10-6. I mean, you can, but you're going to be called an idiot for it.
Yeah.
You can't fire guys in
Cleveland.
2007 after 10-6. But you saw what happened. It's like, yeah, you kind of got lucky, and it's the most important position. And it kind of is. Because I think everybody out there knows as much as quarterbacks have become interchangeable, as much as we don't have as many elite, quote-unquote, quarterbacks as we had in the past, if you don't believe in your QB, you're just stuck in mud. And right now, I think a lot of Browns fans would openly admit, yeah, man, if the most we're saying is 6 games that we can win, and we do have talent in certain areas, but we are a shallow team, we don't have a lot of depth, we're kind of stuck in mud. Because if you had a quarterback that you had true 100% confidence in, Miles Harden at nickelback wouldn't keep you up at night. The offensive line, it would concern you, but it wouldn't keep you up at night like it does. The linebacker core outside of Carson Schlesinger, who's been banged up already in camp, that wouldn't keep you up. These are serious concerns. Coming up at 9:43, you want to talk about serious concerns? I have a terrible, terrible, terrible feeling after I just saw this early opening night release from the NBA. And in 5 minutes, if you don't hate him now, you better learn to hate him soon, or you will pay the consequences dearly. I'll tell you who that person is who might pay those consequences at 9:21 on The Fan.
Headline sports news every 20 minutes right here on 92.3 The Fan. From the University Hospital Sports Desk, I'm Jeff Thomas.
Great interview with Zach Jackson earlier today. He called Dylan Gabriel an organizational pick. I think it makes us have to reconsider the future about Dylan Gabriel if he's saying that, because I figured he was about as good as gone. Also, 25 days away from Ohio State football. I saw a Mr. Ohio on social media always posts, he's doing the countdown. Yeah. And Antonio Pittman wore number 25. Antonio Pittman was a dog. And he showed the run in the Fiesta Bowl against the Notre Dame Fighting Irish, a game I remember distinctly. I was on my parents' couch. And I basically laid on the couch the entire game. I don't know why. I don't remember being hungover.
Because you're a couch potato?
No, I don't remember being a member. I was in much better shape back then, so I don't want to hear it. I remember I watched that whole game on the couch. I never thought Ohio State was going to lose. Never feared, never crossed my mind. That was a bad time. Like, I like Notre Dame. Never was a big Charlie Weiss guy. No.
I knew firsthand. I was covering a prospect.
Didn't seem to be real.
Oh, Kenny, I was following a prospect in Parkersburg, West Virginia, first TV job, and I got to meet Tressel came into town. I got to meet some pretty famous. Bobby Bowden was in town, and also Charlie Weiss. And Charlie Weiss, his whole sales job when he came was nothing about Notre Dame. It was about his Super Bowl rings.
You didn't like it, did you?
Dude, the coaches were turned off completely.
Really?
The football coaches, who you would think, they had not had a prospect like this. You would have thought, he was a Gatorade Player of the Year type thing. You would have thought, right, that they would have loved to have Notre Dame walking in and around the hallways. And, dude, they were, like, so aghast and so put off. They were kind of like wanted him to get out. Like, couldn't say that, but wanted him, like, we're done here.
You know what? Because there's times you do it and there's times you don't. And I understand that Notre Dame was kind of on their ass, but it's Notre Dame. And they got Notre Dame going for a year, and then things quickly went to hell. Really bad to hell. But there's times you do it, there's times you don't. Like John Harbaugh, it's all pro football. When he's sitting there, kept going, man, I'm with the Giants. I'm like, dude, you're with the with the Ravens for 20 years and won a Super Bowl with the Ravens. Like, you don't need to be in awe of another organization when you won a Super Bowl with another team. And I just didn't think it was the right message. Speaking of college football, because I saw Kyle Whittingham. He addressed his comments during Big Ten Media Days where he didn't really make a big deal about the game. Kind of compared to, like, we want to win all the games. Well, Kyle Whittingham yesterday was asked to clarify such comments on it. Because I, as much as a lapsed Ohio State fan as I am, there was the 2006 game of the century. There was the game I went to where they won 42-7. There's so much there. And I think that Haight has won this rivalry before, and I think that Haight can win this rivalry again. And Kyle Whittingham, it doesn't seem to have much hate in his heart when it comes to Ohio State. Did you hear these comments?
I did. Yes. They were hard to avoid, just given that you thought he would maybe go back on what he had said at Big Ten Media Day. You thought maybe there would be a reversal because he was always getting so much blowback.
Here is Kyle Whittingham.
Better chance to win if I hated him. I mean, I don't understand. Whatever gives us the best chance to win, I'm all for. Want to beat him worse than anybody, around. I don't know how that got to be such a hot topic. If there's periods where you, in practice segments or things in the weight room that, that's talked about, we've got the countdown clocks. I mean, I'm not trying to downplay that at all. It's a huge game, gigantic. It's something that we all have in the back of our mind 24/7. So I don't know, I probably should have worded this differently, but that game is of the utmost importance.
Was that surprising to you, how the reaction from...
No, people, it's not surprising, I guess. I guess I set myself up for it in a lot of ways. But just don't confuse that with the desire, a lack of desire to win the game. I mean, we obviously understand that is the game.
I'm a huge Kyle Whittingham fan. I've never met him. I know coaches who have met him and even work for him, and they have a great deal of respect for Kyle Whittingham. And I have a great deal of respect for him. He's done it the right way for a very long period of time at a school that previously was tough to win at. But Urban Meyer got him going, and he continues to have him going for 20 years. That pointed out, I think he's trying to remain. I get what he's saying, where it's, you want to win them all. You want to win every game. You want to hate every opponent. But it is the rivalry. It is the game. And I remember I couldn't help but respond to Chris Castellani, who we've had on our show once before. He was a great guy and a lot of fun. Big Tigers guy up there in Detroit. I'm assuming he's a Michigan fan. I think he's a Michigan fan. And he kind of just went with it in a way. I'm going, hate, I think, especially for new coaches, hate won that game in 1969 with Bo Schembechler. Hate won that game in 2001 with Jim Tressel. You're a new head coach, and I know he's a little older. He doesn't look like it, but what is he, 67 years old? Yes. So he's a younger
66, I think, right now.
He's a young 66 years old. He's going to be 67 by the time the game's played. But you better have hate in your heart for this team that you're playing. You better hate Ohio State, man.
Yeah, he'll be 85 when the U.S. Open gets over to Inverness up in Toledo.
We are looking forward to that at that time, my goodness. But I don't think he's really going about it the right way. You gotta hate that opponent. Like Urban Meyer did something every single year to make it very special to where you hated them, and then it just became, how are we going to rub their noses in it this year? How are we going to rub their noses in it next year?
Kenny, there's no way this is a byproduct of what happened just 2 years ago where Ohio State loses the game and then wins the national championship, and we wondered, did that erode the stakes of this game forever?
No, I don't think so. I think that there's a big picture there, but it's still the game. Like, you could lose both games to the Steelers, and still it's pro football, so it's totally different. It's not the same.
Well, so
but
is this
I'm
now.
trying to make the best comparison I can. Yeah. You still want to beat the Steelers. I don't think that this still is, while they're paid, it's still college football, and there's still ties to your state. There's still ties to a rivalry, and it's supposed to be what makes college football special. Because most college football, no one wants to admit it, most college football on a given week ain't that great. It's tradition, the pomp, the circumstance, the hate, the rivalries, all that stuff. That's what makes it so great that the NFL doesn't have. College football has that. And I think you got to lean into it if you're Kyle Whittingham there. I mean, hate's what kept this rivalry close. Who's a better football coach, Sharon Moore or Ryan Day? Who's a better football coach? Say it out loud. It's Ryan Day.
Yeah, who lost to Sharon Moore.
Sharon Moore beat him in that game.
Unbelievable.
Who I don't even know if he's allowed to coach.
No.
Beat him in the game. I don't know if he'll ever coach again. Beat him in the game. Sharon Moore, who was facing criminal charges at the end of last year. Beat him. Just think about that.
Might have had some of the answers to the test, too, ahead of time.
But that's how much, it doesn't matter, that's how much hate plays in a rivalry. Where teams that are underdogs, because of that hate, because of what plays into it, it's what makes football great. It's such an emotional game. You got to think, but it's an emotional game.
But so here's the flip side of this, because I'm
Give me the flip side.
I'm an obnoxious Ohio State fan, and everything's about us. I went right to the pressure that this continues to build on Ryan Day. Ryan Day last year, I was very nervous about last year, but, he ended up winning. And Ryan Day's 2-4. Against that state up north.
Mm-hmm.
If he loses this game this year, of which they will be big favorites. I mean, right now, Owen, if you could check it out, or John, see what the early
8.5
projection is on the point spread. I was going to go
8.5
north of that, but
really?
Whatever.
It's still Michigan. They're not bad. They're well coached.
No.
They're going to be well coached.
Well, they are well coached.
I have 14.
14. It's early.
14.
It's early. How much are they paying their quarterback at Michigan this year?
14.
$100 million. Either way.
You better get Stallions on that.
I'm just
14.
Yeah, they don't have that Stallions bump. I mean, he takes like 3 points off the point spread. So
you better find a Philly or someone in there to get in that stadium. Go ahead.
You want to talk about pressure Ryan Day loses that game, and you and I on the old podcast would talk a lot about Winningham and what a great coach he was in college football. He was awesome. He was awesome. And imagine if he had the players that Ryan Day's had over the years. How many national championships are we talking about for him? So all I'm saying is this, Ryan Day, you better beat this guy, because how humiliating for all of Ohio State and Ryan Day.
Are you trying to say it without saying it, that he goes back on the hot seat if they lose in November?
100% he's going to be on the hot seat. If you lose to the guy who doesn't even care about your rivalry game,
all right, what happens after?
That is an all-timer.
What happens after? If they're 11-0 and they lose the game and they go on and they win the national championship? But again, how many times is Will Howard going to walk back through that door? How many times can you count on that? Because you were the one who said it. You brought it up in the air. You said that they had a plan. If they would have lost to Tennessee and that home playoff game, like there was an exit strategy on Ryan Day. That the powers that be, the big boosters, were going to come in and pay Ryan Day, who's been extremely successful with the exception of Michigan for the most part. They were going to pay Ryan Day to go away. Turns out it was the exact opposite. They beat the brakes off Tennessee.
Yes,
They've been making fun of them ever since. And then they went out and they boat raced to Oregon, and then they ended up winning the national championship. And there's a game in there I don't even remember. Does it put them back on the hot seat if they lose the game?
I mean, that would be the third Michigan coach he would have lost to.
Boy, that really proves you got a problem with Michigan.
With better talent.
As a coach.
With better talent every single year. Close one of those years. It was close one of those years.
Yeah, but you still have better talent this coming year.
Yes.
There's no excuse. And, boy, he's a really good coach, though.
He is an awesome coach.
And there's such a difference between the beginning of the season and the end of the season. Like, Ohio State should be better by the time November comes around, but so should Michigan. They should be sharp. They should be in shape. They should be pretty damn good. I imagine they're going to be able to play all 4 quarters. I know I'm throwing cliches around all the time because Whittingham's just a good coach who have them ready. Owen, do you think he goes back on the hot seat if they if they lost in November?
I guess the playoff matters too.
That's what I'm pointing. Well, yeah, but the hot seats.
This goes back to the whole, the game has lost all its luster because of the playoff stuff.
But wasn't he on the hot seat? This is where I think we can separate it. He was on the hot seat after they lost to Michigan going into the playoff.
Somebody in that room wanted him fired.
Exactly.
Right away.
Yeah, he didn't even want him coaching in the playoff games. So, you could say, if you could make the claim, he's on the hot seat. Now, that's only a couple years removed from a national championship, but at the same time, wasn't Coach Orgeron removed a couple years after a national championship? Yeah. I don't mean that much.
I mean, that game was nip and tuck last year until about halfway through the third when it was clear Michigan just had no offense.
It is so difficult
Should have blown them out.
It's such a weird year where their schedule is so tough now with the changed Big Ten.
Yep.
I mean, you got that gauntlet. I know you got a week in between, but you got USC, Indiana, Oregon. 2 of those 3 are on the road, if I'm not mistaken. And you got a week in between there with a bye. I understand that, but that's a gauntlet right then and there. And I know USC talks tough every year. We'll see at the end of September.
Honestly, I'm pumped. They got me back invested. They really have. Even though there's a playoff and everything, they've got me invested in a way that when Urban had things really rolling, even going down to Columbus, it was a party. It wasn't about the game.
No.
Because they were just throttling these teams. They had so much more talent. That stretch, I'll be paying attention to, and especially if the Browns aren't good. Like, that is going to be such a pivotal
You're telling me we're
stretch.
going to actually be able to break down regular season games for the first time since Jim Tressel?
Yeah.
I mean, honestly.
Yes. Indiana, USC, Oregon. Am I sleeping on Maryland and Iowa?
No. I mean, Iowa's offensive line's going to be good. It's Kirk Ferentz, but I'm guessing no.
And obviously that Texas game, Saturday, September 12th, in prime time.
That could be the Browns Bowl right there.
You'd think
the babyface assassin.
Even if you hate Ohio State, you're watching that game
against the Royal family. You got the babyface against the Royals right there. That's going to be a big one. 216-474-0092. That's every Browns fan. What day is that?
That is September 12th.
That's going to be a big one for everybody involved.
Of course, all our
especially
games,
Browns fans.
All Ohio State games that matter are going to be in prime time, except for the Michigan game.
Oh, that's going to be great.
Yep.
Noon? Noon's excellent for the Michigan game.
Yeah.
I'll go out to Youngstown. I'll wake up early. Steak and eggs, booze. Good time.
I'll be calling a 1AA game at the exact same time every year.
Forgot about that one.
It's been like 5 and 6
Wait,
years.
didn't you do that Youngstown State game last year where
Youngstown
they
State.
lost that huge lead?
They had the big lead.
Yeah, you were just on the road. I'm like, man, we should really go over to Stambaugh Stadium and see Toe. And I'm like, nah, I can't do it. We got Ohio State, Michigan here.
The best is I put on Youngstown State post-game call-in show, and it sounded like a Brown show. The Michigan game had ended, and yet I was dialed into Youngstown State. We want that DC gone. I'm like, I know that DC. He's a local guy.
And when you lose that type of lead to Yale, can't do it, man. Supposed to be strong in Youngstown, steal in Youngstown, not losing to bookworms. Can't afford it. Can't happen. Coming up in 5 minutes. If you miss October 22nd, you may miss the entire season. Ken Carman, Anthony Lima on The Fan.
Get your pair of Aeroburst for only $165 at a Skechers store, Skechers.com, or wherever high-performance running shoes are sold.
Leave the garage door open and turn up the fan. Spend the summer with your home for Cleveland Sports Talk. 92.3 The Fan.
When do you think I'll name the starter for the game on Saturday? When do you think it's going to be named?
I thought it was going to be yesterday, and that was
according to Zach, he was
not
getting
the
ready
case.
to name it. Then he got all mad because he had to explain himself. He decided not to name it.
Mm-hmm.
What you got over there? Are you going to say something? Okay.
Press release Wednesday evening. Wait, no. Leak Wednesday evening. Yeah, leak Wednesday evening.
I don't know already, by the way. It's been that situation before, but I don't know that. We'll find out. Coming up later this week as we find out whether or not. Do you take anything if Deshaun Watson or Shedeur Sanders start? I would feel a lot better if Shedeur Sanders started for whatever reason. I don't know why. I would feel a lot better about Shedor's chances if he starts. I'm going to get to the Cavs here in a second. I know what I said. But
Well, and I think whoever gets to start this Saturday has a chance to be put in position for success.
Keep going. Keep explaining.
Well, I just think it's we already know it's going to be against the backups for the Bears. At least that's what I've been seeing out of Chicago. And I do think that Monken, if you're asking Monken to just like put guys in a position, like, do you think this would be a stress test situation, or do you think he wants to get somebody confident and things going in the right upward trajectory as we get in here? Because that Buffalo week, I think, is going to be a totally different week.
Confident. You want them both confident. Either or. I'm not trying to just throw you into the fire.
Right.
I mean, some people believe in that, throwing him into the deep end. But, I mean, you got Deshaun Watson, has had no confidence for the last 5 years. You got Shedeur Sanders, who his head was spinning last year. You want them both to be confident going in, and you need a confident quarterback going in anyway. I don't think you don't want to humble either one of these guys.
Ugh.
Fans might want them humbled because we're all psychos, but no, you don't want that to happen. No. But I would just, I don't know why. If it were Deshaun Watson, it's like whatever. But if it's Shedeur Sanders, I just feel better about Shedeur's chances. Why? To be the starter for the season. I just feel better about Shedeur's chances. And I don't know if it's just because, well, you know, the veteran coach would probably go with the veteran. Maybe I feel better about that. It's hard for me to put a thumb on it. I'm just telling you my feelings right now. If he says Deshaun Watson, okay. If he says Shedeur Sanders, I'm like, all right, well, maybe we got something here. Even though I would assume that Deshaun Watson would start the game against Buffalo, and would that matter more? Because is it just the joint practice that matters more? Like, what am I supposed to take out of that? I'm not sure. It's a wild year. It's a very wild year. If you miss October 22nd, you might miss the entire season. That is the home opener for the Philadelphia 76ers. That's opening night at home. They opened their season a day earlier against the New York Knicks. 2 days earlier with the New York Knicks, and that's with LeBron James, and they open their home schedule against the Cleveland Cavaliers. Now, we don't know for sure if that's the Cavaliers' actual season opener. It's been reported from somewhere or rumored somewhere.
Yeah, more and more around the Cavs. Like Danny Cunningham said, that'll be their opener.
Okay, so the Cavs have to open their season, according to Danny, on the 22nd against LeBron, who they were trying to bring here.
Yes.
They didn't seem to try too hard to bring him here, but they were trying to bring him here. This just knocks the Malays into a different stratosphere that I can't even say. I think it's just a team right now that exists to a lot of fans.
But you don't think the fans will be juiced for that game?
I sure as hell hope so, man. I really hope so.
I mean, because obviously we crafted a bunch of different scenarios for where if this team gets off to a slow start and they're like 2-5 in their first 7 games. Remember, we keep talking about all the teams are trying this year because the tanking is no longer because of the new rules. And, you know, these other teams have gotten better on paper in the Eastern Conference. And right now, all the Cavs have done have lost 2 of their players in Dean Wade, Keon Ellis. They did draft a player in the second round, but That's their state of affairs right now.
I can only tell you how it
there's
makes
some
me feel.
big-time pressure. So you say malaise. Well, there will not be a malaise if they come out slow
I hope you're right.
and they get their ass kicked or something by the Philadelphia 76ers.
You know what? I hope you're right because that would show some passion. Because I think right now a Cavs fan is not even reeling. I think they just say, okay, the team just exists in their mind. Because he picked the 76ers. He has no connection to Philadelphia, Pennsylvania whatsoever. He picks the 76ers. Why? Because he wants to chase a championship. And we can't even get in the door for an argument with him about chasing championships. So we gave up 3 first-round picks for Donovan Mitchell. We traded away, and Darius Garland. A lot of people wanted him traded away 2 years ago, but all of a sudden they have amnesia over it. We traded away Darius Garland for James Harden. We still have Evan Mobley on this team. We still try to put together this team. This team won 64 games a couple of years ago. They won 54 games just this last year, 52 games, whatever the hell it was this last year, get to the Eastern Conference Finals, and that means nothing to the guy? And it's like the biggest figure that we've ever had, the icon of this franchise. Never even considered, according to Rich Paul, coming back. Never? So what did we build? I got this. I thought we were building something special.
Well, they built
but
they built
the greatest player ever doesn't think you're very special.
They obviously we're forever going to be wondering, did he just want to play in New York? I mean, Rich Paul did put that out there.
So he can live in New York and he can fly in the helicopter to Philadelphia. I saw that one.
But I've seen more and more people kind of back that up, that was the speculation all along, and the fact that the Knicks won the championship and therefore they didn't really need LeBron, so they didn't have to put up with all that comes with LeBron in the final year. Cleveland, we would have put up with it. We would have had to.
If I find out, I think it makes me feel better, but you still had a team that went out and traded for Jaylen Brown, that tried to add to their team, that made a strong move when it was prudent. I know we hurried it. I have backed them up. I defended them. Well, it was easy to defend at the time, and I think we've defended them every step of the way about trading for Donovan Mitchell. I think I was very defensive of the trade for James Harden, so maybe I'm part of the problem, or I can't be one of the ones to blame. I didn't make the decision, but I'm part of the problem with the whole agreeing with it and condoning it. But damn, they're just you're not even paying attention. What the hell are you looking at? You don't even care about the Cavs right now.
I'm just looking at how busy Christmas Day is going to be with NBA and NFL.
Okay, so you are paying attention. I apologize. The Cavs aren't even playing on Christmas Day. I know that was the marquee day. I think some people are saying, I saw Ben Axelrod say he doesn't think it's as marquee as it used to be. Maybe it's because they're getting bogarted by the NFL.
Well, it did. The NFL took it over, obviously, because the NFL could take over any day they want.
Not every day needs to be yours, man. Let people have their day. Let other entities have their day.
I'll tell you, for me, take it back.
For me, the NFL doing that also kind of has me losing interest in the last 3 weeks of the NFL season. That has definitely happened to me. I don't know if it's happened for you, but with the way it is for the NFL playoffs, seems like everything's kind of decided. There's not as much.
It was going to give us another week of nail biters, but really it's given us another week of benching
and the
starters.
The better teams distancing themselves with more week, and if you add another week, so yeah, you took over Christmas Day, but I'm also losing interest in week 17 and week 18.
I want to totally agree with you, and I do totally agree with you. It just sucks about how this all goes, and I got one marquee game here at the beginning on a Thursday on October 22nd, so you're going to have you'll probably have a it's Amazon, so you might have a better NFL schedule. I have to look at that, or what that game's going to be. And you got the Cavs, and that seems to be about it. All those moves for this. Great. I hope I feel different in September, man. Because this is not a good feeling here in August.
The Cavs offseason is not over. It's just beginning. I just thought it would be beginning 4 weeks ago.
You got Patriots at Bears on the 22nd.
Great. Two great quarterbacks. Well, I'm watching the Cavs that night. Damn it. I don't care. I got NFL Plus for a reason. I'll watch that in the morning. Thanks to Zach Jackson for joining us today. Tomorrow we'll go around the AFC North. See what their situations are as they get ready for camp. Aaron Rodgers was running scout defense yesterday over in Pittsburgh. Probably ask Chris Muller or Donnie Football about that tomorrow. Pony is just negative all the time. Thanks to everybody who joined us today. We're back tomorrow. Have a wonderful day, friends. Hey, and go Guardians.
Good. Where's your entourage now?
Cool, I got on the last show.